Comcast Business Studios, 97.5, The Fanatic. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas. This is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Well, I desperately needed the Phillies to win Game 1 of that series yesterday.
Uh-oh.
It didn't happen, so we'll talk about that. But I have a question. This is one of these, I don't think I really need to say it, but it's bugging me so much that I do want to talk about it with my friends. So we'll do that today. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I believe it would be a failure for the Philadelphia Eagles, the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, if they do not win the NFC East. The Eagles have had a quiet training camp.
And to me, I look at it and say, it's wonderful to have peace and serenity out in South Philly.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Tuesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning. Welcome back.
Good to be here. Glad I took advantage of the day of sun this week.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Before the monsoon or the hurricane makes its way up the coast.
Oh, yeah, and we get a big monsoon of rain beforehand. Then we get the remnants of the tropical storm coming through.
Thank you, meteorologist John Kincade. I was not sure about the path itself.
Yeah, you've got time till we won't get the hurricane one till like Thursday night, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, okay. So we're just getting
Seriously, this is just going to be bad.
hit by double storms. All right.
Go
sounds
mow
good.
your lawn today.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. And
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, too. Welcome back. Connor back in his chair today producing the show. Of course, B. Gunn in the back, Haley in the back. Another big day of Kincade and Salciunas ahead of you. And today's one of these days where, I'm driving into work, and I'm thinking about what to talk about. And something hit me I've been thinking about it a lot. And it's something that I think we all celebrate. But I want to know if we actually should be celebrating the way that we are.
Celebrate.
I think we all are kind of happy that Kellen Moore has full control of the offense, right?
I couldn't be happier. If Kellen Moore sucks, I will have more egg on my face than anything I've ever said on this radio
crosshairs
station.
would be on you.
Yes,
You'd
absolutely.
be the first person. Just like when the Phillies start, losing and we're telling you everything's fine, we start getting the tweets during the games. You would get the tweets if
absolutely.
an offensive drive doesn't look good because people are going to say, wow, John, you talked up Kellen Moore so much. We're all thrilled that Vic Fangio is the defensive coordinator of this football team and clearly is the head coach of the defense, right?
Yep.
So the whole Nick Sirianni, what do you do around here conversation has come up. And I think that's unfair because we've seen coaches like Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh not handle any side of the ball for the longest time, and they've been successful head coaches in the NFL, right?
Yeah, different though.
Why is that different?
Because John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin have complete control. They hire their coordinators. They dictate. They hire a coordinator based on what they want done.
Right.
Nick Sirianni had them imposed. His coordinators were imposed on him.
So we all agree
that's the only difference. But still, though, it can work. By the way, this model can work.
It can.
If Nick Sirianni is a good boy and does the things that he can control and lets those two guys get under the hood and do their job.
Okay, so Howie Roseman hired everybody. We know that. Vic Fangio's the head coach of the defense. Kellen Moore is the head coach of the offense. It's very much like Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz.
I think it's fair.
But Nick Sirianni isn't either of those guys. He's just the head coach of the football team. And every single thing that is going on in camp so far this year is not what Nick Sirianni's been about.
Nope.
Nick Sirianni has had training camps where you kind of just go through the motions. Vic Fangio wanted more of an aggressive, physical training camp. He's getting that. Kellen Moore probably wanted more time to implement his offense. He's getting that.
They both have articulated that in some way, shape, or form. Each of them has confirmed that to us.
I remember Nick Sirianni saying that he was going to be more involved with the defense, and I remember Vic Fangio's first training camp press conference when he was asked about Nick Sirianni in the meeting room, and he goes, yeah, he's there.
He'll sit in a meeting here and there.
But didn't say anything like, yeah, Nick's designing plays for us defensively. No, he's there. Everybody that is talking about the offense is loving it. Everybody's saying how pre-snap motion is great. when Nick Sirianni scoffed at the idea of it last year. Everything that Nick Sirianni is about is not happening in this training camp. And I will play you this yesterday. Vic Fangio spoke to the media. You were not here yesterday, but I know you saw some of the clips. Here's Vic Fangio talking about playing in the preseason.
Yeah, I think Nick is going to, at some point, tell you guys what the rotation may be, generally speaking. I do think he's talked about playing those guys. I don't think he's made a final decision. But I do think it's good that guys get to play some in the preseason. Even the best players I've been around, they want to play, and they don't want their first play of the year to be a regular season game. They want to get out there and feel it.
So Vic Fangio's preseason.
Yeah, he's telling you, Vic Fangio told you what his vote is. And he says Nick will fill you in on what he's going to do later. But he let you know what his vote is.
Yeah.
So now we're going to know, does it change? If it does, it's because Vic Fangio and others wanted something. Question is it good or bad?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think, obviously, we're all thrilled, right? We're all thrilled that Kellen Moore is running the offense. Vic Fangio is running the defense. We realized that there were a lot of issues last season that Nick Sirianni probably had his hands on, even though you've mentioned multiple times players didn't fall out of love with Nick Sirianni. Players still liked Nick Sirianni. They still respected Nick Sirianni.
I mean, we've heard that from every guest who's been on here, that he did not lose
the locker room.
Locker room.
Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, it seems like they've squashed their differences.
Yes.
There was the video of them on the Big Dom golf cart yesterday, riding around all smiles, listening to music. That's great. Nick Sirianni is still the head coach of a football team, which I believe is still a respected position in sports. At least it should be. But it seems like everything that is going on in training camp this year has nothing to do with Nick Sirianni. It has nothing to do with his previous ways of doing things. So he's either being adaptive and realizing the issues that he's made in the past, and he said that in a press conference last week, that he realized some things he probably went a little too overboard with, like the lack of practice last year, and he's realizing he should probably do the opposite, which is practice a little bit harder this year. But it seems like everything he's done, everything that he's been about, is out the window, and it's either he's adapted or he's been told.
Can it be both? Because to me, I think it can be both. Because to me, I admire that quality. And I wasn't sure that Nick Sirianni was going to be able to pull it off. I was hoping that this is what they would do. They would give these guys the keys, and that Nick would then find a way to assume a role that was going to play to his strengths. What are his strengths? Creating a great workplace. Communication one-on-one with players. Supposedly he has. I think that's why nobody threw him under the bus last year.
Right.
So to me, I'm going to choose to admire Nick Sirianni for it and say he's being adaptive.
Okay.
But I most certainly believe it was imposed.
Well,
but that to me though is that's an admirable quality, because there are a lot of guys who, when change comes at work, change comes in their personal life or whatever, they literally will rebel against it, push against it, sulk, do whatever. I've seen none of that from Nick Sirianni.
No, I haven't either.
And
Nick,
to me,
if anything, he looks great. Like, he looks happy at the podium, right?
He may, do you ever think that maybe and this is just a thought. I know you've thought it. He may come to work every day going, damn, I feel a little more relaxed.
Right, maybe. I mean, I remember last year there were times where the bags under his eyes. Yeah, like, he looks hard.
My daughter kept talking about, Dad, those black rings under his eyes.
He looked like he aged like 15 years last season.
He looks, to me, and Nick, look, I'm a happily married man as you are. He looks great.
Yeah, he does.
He looks happy. He looks like he's a guy who maybe has taken a deep breath, and this could all work to our favor.
It could, but I do have some concerns. Like, I'm going to try to tie this into real life.
Okay.
Have you ever worked, doesn't have to be radio, anywhere, any job that you've ever worked in, right? Connor, your previous life before you started working in radio, my previous life of working at a basketball court at Temple, right? And you had like a manager or somebody that was above you that would like try to tell you to do something, and you're like, yeah, I'll wait till like the actual people tell me.
Yes.
No. Yes.
Right? Like
100%. No, mostly in radio.
And well,
really is
I
that
got you.
is that
I've seen it here too.
I'm mostly in radio. I've always been of the belief that somebody that has done the job tells you how to do the job.
Right.
So that's always been sort of like the way I look at it.
My I guess a concern. Again, we're talking things out. Like this is one of these days where I'm like, do I really want to get into? Maybe I should just hash things out. Because it's good. Remember, I wanted Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to hash things out before training camp because I would like to go into a training camp, everybody on the same page. And it seemed like they did that, which is why training camp has been freaking awesome. I'm not trying to drum something up. I'm just legitimately thinking things out when I'm driving in this morning. And I'm thinking about how Nick Sirianni has had no say, it seems like, on this training camp. Absolutely none. So let's say times are tough at some point. No gauntlet. Not like last year.
Not like last year.
But remember, last season, Jalen Hurts' leadership came into question because once things started going awry, people turned to Jalen Hurts like, hey, so do you have a different message for us? And he didn't. He was the same stoic, same robotic, same, I'm not going to get too high, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. If things are going tough and a player looks to Nick Sirianni and is looking for an answer, then goes, wait a minute, you're not really running the show here. Does that lead to any issue? Does that concern you that could be a problem?
How about if a player comes to Nick Sirianni? Are you let's speculate. Defensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Remember last year when Kevin Byard had the audacity to say he wanted to run the video sessions?
Yes.
And Kevin Byard, who played
he was horrible.
He was crap here. And he was saying, I know better. Let me do that. I think if a player came now with concerns to Nick Sirianni, then Nick Sirianni can take it to Vic Fangio and have a conversation and try to appease both sides.
Okay.
And play that mediator role. Something tells me that Sirianni would be great at that. And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm just assuming
But should the head coach be the mediator or should the head coach be the head coach? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure
out. I get exactly what you're saying.
It sounds like Vic Fangio's running the show, right? All of a sudden, there's more physical practices. Practices are longer. He believes that young players should play if they're better than veteran players, which is clearly what the Eagles didn't do last season, to the point where Howie Roseman had to say it publicly twice during press conferences that Nick Sirianni needs to realize that if a younger player is a better option, that the younger players should play. I've seen preseason Vic Fangio is open and honest about wanting to play in preseason. We played a clip yesterday when you were out, John. Brandon Graham and Lane Johnson, the two oldest players on this team, 36 and 34 years old, respectively. They were asked about playing in the preseason. They both said they wanted to. Not, we'll do it if asked upon. No, we want to. Brandon Graham said basically what you just heard in Vic Fangio's clip there, that I would rather get some of the juices out in a preseason game so that if I make a mistake, it's a preseason game and it's not week one. Like, I didn't make a mistake in a game because my adrenaline was too high, and that costed us a legitimate game and not just a preseason game. I want to get that first pop on pads in a preseason game so that if I'm a little shook up, it's a preseason game. I can go off on the sideline and take a play or two off instead of going into a regular season game and going, man, that was the first hit I took. I gotta take a couple plays off in an important game against the Green Bay Packers.
Here's the only thing I'd say to that twice is that two different issues. One, I am of the belief, and we can ask Jeff McClain about it.
Yes.
I'm of the belief that the Veterans Committee helped Nick Sirianni come up with the plans of his first training camps. So if that's the message from Brandon Graham, it's one of two things. Either Brandon Graham says, well, that didn't really work for us last year, or maybe he's changed his opinion and helped. Secondly, to me, if I look at it, is Nick Sirianni's teams have been gangbusters in the month of September.
Yes, that is true.
Every single month. Undefeated, 3-1. I'm going to find it hard to question that Nick Sirianni's old plan, at least playing in the preseason how he did it, didn't work. So this is something that I'm saying actually maybe they're changing for change's sake.
Interesting.
Not because it's necessary. Nick Sirianni has been the best coach in the NFL since he's become a head coach. Nerd Boy will tell you. Best coach in the NFL in September. So what does that tell you about how he's approached training camp and everything? Maybe Nick, something he knows works. And maybe they're changing.
Then why are they changing?
Well,
like, to your point, then why are they changing?
I think maybe
like, it seems like he's got no say on anything.
I think because last September, we all looked at it and said,
this is horrible.
They're winning.
Thank God they're winning. Yeah.
But thank God they're winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like our boy Bill Colarulo got to John Kincade on his day off.
Yes.
Because
Is that what Bill's saying, too?
He tweeted that into us yesterday.
Oh, I mean, it's hard to argue.
No, it is hard to argue.
I mean, and Bill, many, many times, I'm convinced that Bill is an intelligent man.
And he's also best friends with Nick Sirianni, clearly.
Well, he is a Sirianni. No, we've done the 23andMe on his mother's side.
That came in.
No, on his mother's side, the Sirianni tree connects. Yeah. But I will say this on Bill's behalf, Bill, you're very insightful there, because I didn't realize that I missed that because I wasn't on. I really sort of laid by the pool yesterday.
So why are we changing everything? Like that's my biggest thing. Connor, there is an executive in sports that said you look like you're an athlete.
Yes, he did.
True.
No, I'll say it. Alex Anthopoulos, the Braves general manager, I introduced him to a president and general manager. I introduced him to Connor. We're having a conversation in the press box, and he said, "Yeah, he looks like he played a little ball."
Yeah, that didn't make Connor's head any bigger.
I think it was the
I already maxed out head size.
I think it was the faux mullet.
If you're playing for a team and a coach has been telling you to do something one way for a couple of years, and then it got to the point where your coach, it was legitimately discussed of whether or not that guy was going to get fired. Remember the 8 days it took for the Eagles to pretty much say, Nick Sirianni's back, here are our new coordinators, and then everything changes. Are you still looking at that head coach the same way?
It's harder when you're in the room to say no, because that relationship's still there, and I think Nick Sirianni did. Like, John brings up the point all the time, how there wasn't guys coming after like Nick Sirianni expressively last year. And I do think those relationships still hold respect. But I've been telling you guys for months since they said Nick Sirianni was taking a step back in his responsibilities with the team. This is what's going to happen.
And you're thrilled by it.
This is kind of. If you're going to keep him, I'm thrilled by it. Like, if you've already made up your mind and Nick Sirianni has to stay either because of the visual of what he's done so far, you can't fire a head coach that went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Like, if that's a decision that was already made and it's like, how do we make this work because we have to? Then yes, this is how it should be, because I don't trust him to do more than this. I frankly don't at this point. But when I see this is the reason that I wanted the Eagles to move on, because I thought I mean this with all due respect to Nick Sirianni. For what the head coaching position should be, I think this is a waste of the position if he's not going to have any power. Like, I think you could have brought somebody in who did more in that spot than if you're just going to have Nick Sirianni sit there while the coordinators make all the decisions. I think this is fine for the team in practice. I think that, and practice, I mean in actuality, not in literal training camp practice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to be fine for the team over the course of the season with the way that the relationships are built between the coordinators. Like, I don't think it'll cause a problem.
Do you two? I'm just wondering this, and we can get into this more in the next couple weeks before the opener. By the way, a calendar month today.
Oh, okay.
The opening day.
That's awesome.
I can't tell if you two are feeling more comfortable with Sirianni coming back or less comfortable.
No,
but I mean,
I didn't want him back, period.
No, I know you didn't. But I can't tell if today and what you've seen, body of work, mini camps, and how everything's gone, and whether you guys are more comfortable or less comfortable.
No, I just think he's there. Like,
so does that make you less comfortable?
I don't feel.
Or more,
honestly, dude, I don't feel more or less. Like, I'm thrilled with everything about training camp.
Right.
I like that they're practicing. I like that there are people in the ear of Nick Sirianni telling him, "Hey, playing in the preseason is a good thing."
Right.
I like that. It seems like everything about practice is going without a hitch. Like, I haven't heard any oh man, today was dysfunctional. Like,
none of that.
They had to end practice early today because of physical altercations. Like, there hasn't been a negative story that's come out, but I don't think that's anything that's pro Sirianni. I think he's just kind of there at this point.
Exactly. He's a non-factor.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because there will come a time. The Eagles are not going to go undefeated this year. We all agree.
That is correct.
They're not going to go undefeated this year.
You never know.
I feel safe with that. I feel safe.
But we all have 12, 13 win expectation. Well, 11, 12 as the ceiling, maybe 13 win expectations.
Right, but 12 is where I'm at.
If there's a point in the season where it looks like something went awry, and we remember what happened last year with the San Francisco 49ers game. The second the 49ers game happened, all hell broke loose. There might be a time at some point this year, it could happen as early as week 1, where they didn't play to their expectations and things looked ugly. And then we start questioning things. Nick Sirianni did this during the game. Kellen Moore did that during the game. Kellen Moore went for it when Nick Sirianni normally wouldn't. Or they went for it when Kellen Moore normally wouldn't, right? There's going to be some moment at some point in the season, and we're all going to go, all right, how's Nick Sirianni going to handle this? He could handle it great. And then this conversation was worthless, a waste of time. Or players could go,
right.
Yo, dude, you're the head coach. Like, can you answer for this? I just want to it's an open-ended discussion.
It is. It's open-ended.
Does this bother you? Like, I feel like we're giving him credit for being adaptive, but I don't know if he's really adapted or if he's just kind of been told what to do. We continue this discussion. You could text in 610-632-0975. Also, we have to get into the Phillies coming up next. Phils lose again. I read something from Corey Seidman that just makes it seem how bad things have been, but John sees a positive.
Yep. And by the way, I'm going to ask them to do something.
All right. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
weekend on show number 102.
102.
You did 100 shows, and the guy said, "Yeah, I'm all right. I don't need to do.
Yeah, I
don't
got
need to
it
do
a little
101.
bit.
I'm okay." All right, I want to get to some reaction because I know the text line is hot and heavy with the Eagles discussion because I'm trying to figure out, is Nick Sirianni being adaptive or is he just being told what to do at this point? And does that lead to some issues during the regular season if the time were to ever to come when somebody has to look to leadership and leadership has absolutely no power? But we'll get to those texts coming up in a few minutes. You can text, you can call in 610-632-0975. But real quick, in case you went to bed last night, I don't blame you. I was one of them. The Phillies played game one of their series against the Dodgers yesterday, and they were handed a loss, Johnny.
In some ways they handed the Dodgers a bit of a win.
Okay.
But I didn't feel that it was again.
See, Nick Castellanos would disagree with you. He said that the Dodgers beat them yesterday.
Well, it was I think that the Dodgers were the better team. I think the problem was that again, Aaron Nola with the one inning where he just can't he doesn't understand shutdown inning.
Yeah.
Like they give him a 3-0 lead in Pittsburgh.
And it's 3-3.
And he goes out and he wets his pants and gives it right back to them. They get a lead last night on the road trying to build some momentum, and he pitched batting practice for an inning. It was lucky to be 4-2.
And as you said before the show, and then he settles in.
But he was.
It's
he was
amazing.
good
before.
Connor,
Dude,
he was
it's
good. Like
amazing.
he settled in and was fantastic.
Every other moment of that game, he was great.
And then
you just had one inning where it was
inning.
and it wasn't. Everything was like 112 off the bat. It was crazy.
He's got the mental meltdown. He has the mental meltdown inning in him, and it's just what he has. And he was brilliant the other innings. Like you're going, he's handling the Dodger lineup really well. But the thing is, there is something about Nola starts that I think he can deflate that team very quickly.
I was saying yesterday, I think Brendan brought up like how he'll pitch well tonight. I was like, no, it's the opposite. It's when you have expectations on Nola, like you're going, need a big outing out of you. That's when he does not pitch well, right? And then except for the playoffs. And then the next outing, like I guarantee you his next start, he'll go like 7 shutout innings.
Here's what I'd say in his defense, and Connor, you can agree or disagree with me. I honestly think if my starter goes to L.A. and gives up 4 runs over 6 innings, and it's a 4-3 game, I'm sort of okay with it.
You're not killing them.
Like I'm not like it wasn't a horrible performance, but it was a horrendously bad inning, and he just doesn't know how to stop the bleeding.
Here's what's fun, though. And there's not much that's fun about the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm using that term very lightly.
Yeah, of course you are.
We need to right now.
Sure.
I understand what happened last night.
What do you mean understand?
I've seen that Philadelphia Phillies storyline with Aaron Nola on the mound last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
His whole career.
And that's a conversation more about the individual player. But for the past 2 weeks and change, I've been seeing this team do stuff that I couldn't comprehend. How are they losing this game? What is wrong with that guy? Can Bryce Harper see the baseball? Last night felt like a game that the Phillies could have lost in May, and we would have said, okay, I get it. They're a good team. It didn't feel like an uncharacteristic loss. It felt like you played a good team in a tough spot.
I told them this morning before you arrived. I said, despite the fact that they've lost 2 of the last 3, something Saturday on, and I'm going to throw out the Phillips start on Friday night, which was just horrendous. But,
it was
but I'm not going to write the kid off either, by the way, because he had a horrendous night. I'm hoping we see him bounce back. We'll see. But I'm slightly confident after watching the last 3 games. If, Connor, you summarized it perfectly. When I turned off the TV, I tried to do the 9th inning. I'm going to go watch. I'm going to listen on the app and just watch the play-by-play, the computer play-by-play they show you, just to try to change things up. I turned it off after the 8th inning. I actually feel better about this team. If that loss happens, as you said it in May, June, at Dodger Stadium, they lose 5-3 and they played that game, I go to bed, put my head in the pillow and fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm totally with you.
Really, seriously.
And I know Andrew's not.
Good for you guys. I
really do. I'm not kidding you, is that I feel the last 3 nights, they've won 1, they've lost 2. But I didn't feel bad Saturday night.
Well, I can't get you on that one. They blew a 5-run lead.
No, but I didn't feel. But the thing again, I look at more the result and what happened. And by the way, for 2 of those losses, they got screwed by bad umpire behind home plate, not understanding the strike zone.
Yeah, it was
and again,
part of it.
Every one of you freaking people out there, I speak to you all. Every last one of you that talks about, it's just, I love the human element of the game. Bull pucky. Why do you like it? It's terrible. It's terrible. We have a system that can get it right 98.89% of the time. And the Phillies wouldn't have lost. How about this? The Phillies would have had a chance in the 8th inning with the bases loaded. Instead, Brandon Marsh gets screwed on a ball that was clearly out of the strike zone.
I'm also curious how many times did that happen to the Dodgers yesterday. We just don't realize it because it's not against the Phillies.
Honestly, I don't think that there was a ton of calls that went their way. I'm just saying.
No. I'm with you, Johnny.
I'm just asking.
How about this?
Again, I was asleep.
How about this? There were 7.
Cooper slept 2 hours the night before. So
how about this? There were 7. The Phillies at one point, I tweeted it out. The Phillies had 7 strikeouts at one point, and they had not struck out. The strike that got them out every single time was outside the strike.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Was a swinging strike. They were swinging at a ball every freaking time.
Now
it was miserable.
Here's my. I'm thrilled that you find a positive in the last 3 games. Thrilled.
I'm telling you right now, I'm doubling down. I am not. It may end up being stupid. This might be worse than the. I am not concerned that this team is going to just be fall apart and be out of the division.
I don't think so either.
I'm just not.
I don't think so either, John. I'm waiting for it to turn.
I am too.
And every time we think it turned, it hasn't during this stretch. And after winning Game 3, I was with you, man. When Brandon Marsh makes the catch, we talk about sports gods, or the grace of God, sun gods, whatever. It falls in his glove, and then they put up 5 runs the very next inning. I go, all right, that could be some weird clubhouse dynamic change of the tide.
A turning point.
And then they lose yesterday. And I know that they played better baseball yesterday. Then that means they better freaking win tonight. Because if they don't win tonight, I can't go, they played well again despite another loss, despite their 7th straight series loss. It's not that I think that the season's over and I think they're going to lose the division. I'm just waiting for it to turn, and I don't see the positive that you're seeing in it. And that's great for you. I'm happy for you.
It would help if your manager, got his head out of his backside. And again, a big situation falls on the shoulders of Garrett Stubbs. Stubbs should be gone. You're saying you can't do things. This manager can't shake things up. Stubbs should be gone. You have someone in the organization who you already know is a considerably better player.
Yes.
It proved out. He's better. And I think he's absolutely better, and I would feel better in clutch situations. Okay. I've seen 3 different times in the past 2 weeks where a critical at bat that has a chance to tie or win the game.
Yeah.
Garrett Stubbs is at the plate, and the other team is chuckling.
Yes, but leading that off with the manager is unfair because it's not like Rob Thompson went Rudy style and went into Dave Dombrowski's office and laid down his jerseys.
No, but he can Rob Thompson absolutely can pinch hit for him.
Now
he can choose to pinch hit for him again.
And then Real Muto's got to play.
You can't do that.
Hang on. The situation last night in the 9th inning, there were 2 outs and a runner on first base. Okay. Not a fast runner in Nick Castellanos.
Okay.
You have no other lefty bat on the bench, and you have a lefty facing a righty.
Is anybody better? Is everybody in your clubhouse a better option than Garrett Stubbs?
I would say
better hitters.
Yes.
If you're going to look at a lefty-righty matchup, and it's not like you had the bases loaded with no outs, and then he hits into a double play, and then you get out. It was going to be a tough spot anyway. You needed basically someone to come up to hit a 2-run home run at that point to even tie the game to send it into the 10th.
I want to extend the game to get to Schwarber so he can do that. I want somebody who has a competent bat.
I got you.
To go up there.
But if I'm Rob Thompson and I'm going to give you, hey, we had lefty-righty, we had literally no other lefty bat available.
By the way, Garrett Stubbs' splits this year reversed. He's hitting 165 against right-handed pitching. He's actually doing
I
better.
swear
than
to you,
Listen, I'm not trying to tell you he's
he
good.
is a freaking liability to this team. He is a liability, and it is coming up over and over again now 3 times in a matter of 10 days. They've had a chance to tie or win a game.
Yeah, and it's not like
Garrett
we didn't have
Stubbs at the plate.
It's not like we had a small sample
He
size
is-
before Real Muto
He
came
is-
back.
They have Marshawn in the organization, and I understood why they don't have to do it. Now you're trying to do something. You can't go get another player. You can't
Right,
get,
deadline's
but you can do that move. Garrett Stubbs, thanks for your time. I'm sure that maybe the local ice skating rink or whatever needs a DJ.
You know what that
maybe
tells
be
me,
fun.
though? If they make that move, we're panicking.
No, don't tell me it's a panic. It's not a panic when you take the 27th guy
panic
on the
move.
roster and you replace him because he's inadequate. That is in no way a panic move. A panic move would be benching Bryce Harper when he was going through his streak. Would be benching Trey Turner. That would be a panic move. Taking the worst player on your roster and replacing him with a better talent from your organization
panic
would
move.
be a smart move.
It's a spot that should not matter for this team. And the only
it does
reason
matter
that-
too
but it's
often.
come up. That's the only problem. It has mattered
because
multiple
the rest
times.
of the team has stunk, and
Yeah.
that's on them to be better.
This goes back to Johan Rojas opening day. Like, sometimes you need somebody else to come through for you every once in a while. It's why I wanted to trade for Luis Robert, because if 7 guys go cold, hopefully my 8th guy can do
You
something.
don't need 8 guys. Asking for 8 guys is ridiculous.
And the grace you give Garrett Stubbs, many fans do not give Johan Rojas.
Which
They
is
don't give-
crazy,
they don't
because
go,
I
like,
give it to both of them, and I'm consistent. If they're wrong, that's
All
not
right,
my
you
problem.
give to both them, and they're 0 for 8 in a game.
And
Like,
it kills you with Stubbs.
so our man Joe the Cynic checks in with a great tweet. He said the Phillies play a decent game based off the radio call. He said, take from what you want. They're either closer to returning or finding another way to lose. That's basically where you and I are differing.
Yes,
You
I think they're closer to return.
And I go, I still haven't seen it. All right, coming up next, we get your text reaction to our topics today. You can text in 610-632-0975. We'll dive back deeper into this Eagles conversation about Nick Sirianni and his power as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Mike Missinelli has always had a lot to say about sports in Philadelphia.
I've always done
6:47 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Tuesday morning. Eagles and Phillies both on the table today. We started with an Eagles Nick Sirianni discussion. Is he adapting or is he just being told what to do? Is he just kind of there now? Is he just kind of the guy that's on the sideline that Fox and CBS and NBC will pan to, but he's not really doing anything? And
Are they up in a playoff game? Then he'll be mugging for the camera and doing the head nod and everything. Yeah, he'll be doing that. He's never going to learn. He's never going to learn on that.
I'm just trying to figure out if Nick Sirianni being completely stripped of everything, and I was calling for it. We did a show that if the Eagles have a successful season, I'm not going to give him credit. I'm going to first give credit to Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, and the players. But if there are times where it's tough and they're looking to the head coach for answers, and then they realize, oh, wait, this guy didn't do anything. It's not his offense. It's not his defense. He was stripped of everything. He doesn't like preseason. We're playing in preseason games. He doesn't like physical practices. We're having physical practices. At some point, you're going to go, who's calling the shots here?
I told you flat out, and I'll say it again. If that is the policy that you and Connor take, and this team is 7-2 and they're playing good football and we're feeling, you can see with our eyes,
yes,
it's a distinctly better product. I'm going to tell you, if you won't give credit to Nick Sirianni for any of it, that you're being completely unfair.
Call me unfair, Andrew. I don't care.
You might be. I may just me, but
dude, let's change the name of the show.
Here's the fun part about
Kincade and unfairness.
I'm emailing Scott right now.
The fun part about our side is prove it's him.
The fun part about our side is I think 80% of people are on our side.
Connor, I'm not sure if that if he say this in this country, you have to prove it.
Why do I?
Not he has to prove it. We're not in France.
No, I'm telling you.
No,
it's mano y mano. You're Johnny. Prove it.
He has to
prove Nick Sirianni's the difference.
That is you guys have to make. If you're making an assertion like that, you have to make the case why. I believe the man can learn. Whether he has, we're going to find out. But I believe the man can adapt and he can learn.
All right. What do we have on the text line today, Connor? Because I know that woke the people up this morning when we were talking about Nick Sirianni. And I don't know. People might think I'm crazy. You don't give us the text messages ahead of time. You tell us on the air. I don't know if people think I'm crazy. I don't know if people think I'm onto something. I don't know if people
do. They do think you're crazy. I don't know about this topic.
That absolutely people think I'm crazy. But maybe there might be somebody that says, Andrew, shut the hell up. Like there's nothing to even be worried about right now. It's just something that hit me when I was driving in this morning.
Our first text here from Jay in Westchester says, Andrew, shut the hell up.
Good.
No, I'm kidding. He says, good morning, guys. The ideology that Nick Sirianni is just a horrible coach is a bad one. I'm on the boat with everyone. I don't believe in him totally, but what I will say is there has to be something good about him for them to decide to still keep him here should they truly believe in you, or they would have moved on. I think he would have been out of here if things were as bad as we thought.
I don't believe he's a horrible head coach.
I don't either.
I think last year when it was time to come up with an answer, he came up with a horrible one, which was, let's keep doing the same thing that hasn't been working for 2 months. And as we've said multiple times in any walk of life, like if our show's ratings went down to the toilet, right? And Scott, our program director, says, you have 2 months to figure out a new plan. And I go up to him and I go, I just want to keep on doing the same thing. I'm having fun.
We have no answers about why do you keep doing the same things over and over again?
Right.
Then that's on you then.
He told me, well, there's the door.
I thought it was horrendous last year how he had no answers down the stretch.
None. And
it was bad.
And you knew against Todd Bowles they were going to bring pressure, and they had nothing against it. But whatever. That's besides the point. Again, I don't think he's a horrible head coach. He was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, but he was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago in a similar role, but with a little bit more power. I don't know what he has left. I really don't. And that kind of concerns me if there were a time where a player needs to look at the head coach for an answer, and then you realize, oh, wait, the guy that's responding to me has had no say in anything that's going on right now. That's problematic.
It is. Look, we're gonna watch all this play out.
And let's hope it never gets to that point.
And I don't think it will.
Neither do I.
I'm confident that it will not. I love the guys they have in charge of both sides of the ball, though. So I may be getting suckered in for the greatest, loop-to-loop of all time. I could get fooled with this. Maybe I'm getting fooled. I don't know.
But how many teams have coordinators on both sides of the ball that could be bona fide head coaches right now?
I don't think many.
Like, that's the thing. Could this work? Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't, because even in like Detroit, you don't know what. Like, I don't know what Dan Campbell does.
Leader of men.
I think Dan Campbell's a leader of men.
I think he does push-ups and yells.
I think Dan Campbell is yoked up Nick Sirianni.
Yes, probably.
I think he's the same guy. And by the way, Nick Sirianni's had more success. So I'm going to say
To date, yes.
let's see how. Yes, that's all we can go by. I'm going to say that that I think they're the same guy. And the question is Sirianni going to get back to what he was before? And I believe he will.
Here's the big difference with Dan Campbell. And I gotta see the history of Dan Campbell. Have these been the same coordinator since he got hired? Because
I believe it has.
Brian Johnson could have gotten a head coaching. Not Brian Johnson. Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson.
He could have gotten a head coaching job this offseason. He decided to stay in Detroit for one more year, right?
Right. He didn't like the quarterbacks that were available.
I believe it's the same defensive coordinator. Nick Sirianni has new coordinators, again, that were brought in specifically to fix the issues from last year. Let's expand on that coming up next.
Okay.
Because Dan Campbell has his team. These guys were brought in not by Nick, but by Howie Roseman to fix the mess, to clean the mess. And I don't know how much of it's to blame on Nick Sirianni that there was a mess to begin with. We'll dive deeper into this coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Also, NBC Sports Philadelphia may tell you why A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are not just the best duo in the NFL now, but maybe all time. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Kincade Salciunas on this Tuesday morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We welcome you in today. Coming up at around 7:10, I'll probably get to it. I read a fascinating story from Reuben Frank at NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com about how A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith aren't just arguably the best duo in the NFL right now, but maybe in the history of the NFL.
Okay, that's bold and beautiful.
And it's one of those things where he makes a strong case.
I know this from reading Reuben Frank. He'll make a case.
Oh yeah, he'll have statistics to back it up.
To back it up. He's not just doing the hot take thing.
So we'll get to that in a couple of minutes, but let's just reset the show. We'll get to some more text messages and also get to the calls at 610-632-0975. We opened up the show talking about Nick Sirianni, and I kind of just had this moment driving in this morning. 4:30, sun's not up yet. At least all the drivers on my side of the road were going the correct way.
Yeah, I passed this morning the car on the Schuylkill going down towards Ballackinwood, going the wrong way.
That's an interesting decision.
In the left lane.
Interesting decision to make by the driver. But I'm driving in, I'm going, man, Vic Fangio's press conference yesterday, which was awesome again. I love it. Like, I love his honesty. I love how he's just quick to the point. He doesn't meander when he talks. Like, sometimes I listen to the press conference and then I'll go back and read the transcript because the Eagles PR sends all the media members the transcript of the press conferences, right? You see Fangio's, it's like one or two lines. You see Sirianni's, it's freaking War and Peace. Like,
that's it.
You're reading through the answer.
He couldn't say happy birthday to the secretary and not use 50 words.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just this.
Exactly.
I want to make sure you know how happy I am that today is the day that you were born. So let me just give you with my full heart and just say, happy birthday.
Yeah, he can't just get to the point.
It's like, oh my gosh, stop it, Nick.
So I'm thinking about Vic and I'm going, you know what? I love that he kind of made it publicly known that he wants to play in the preseason. And then I remember the last time he had a press conference, he was very honest about where the team was defensively, which is something Nick Sirianni does not do. Nick Sirianni is, everybody's doing great. Everything's
he's
fine.
Very positive.
Like, they're two polar opposites, it seems. Other than their love of football, it seems like Nick Sirianni and Vic Fangio are polar opposites, and sometimes it's a good thing. Opposites attract. That might make for a great work environment between the two, or it might not. When Vic Fangio a couple weeks ago was asked about Nick Sirianni's influence on the defense, he goes, yeah, he's there. And then Kellen Moore wants extra time in practice, and so now all of a sudden there's extra time in practice when Nick Sirianni wanted less time. Every single year, less and less time to practice. Now all of a sudden training camp is more physical. There's more conditioning, something that he had never done in his previous years as the head coach of the football team. My question for you guys today at 610-632-0975, are you giving him credit for adapting based off of the issues that we saw last year? Or is this not him adapting and he's just kind of being told what's going to happen? Because to your point, John, even though I don't see eye to eye to what you say and to what Bill Colarulo tweeted in yesterday, you guys are factually correct that what Nick Sirianni has done in the preseason, has done in training camp, has led to back-to-back undefeated months of September.
It has worked.
Like, mathematically, you're correct. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't like that the first 4 weeks are a continuation of the preseason, as a lot of people say. If you play better opponents, you might lose games because you're not playing to your best ability. Like the Kansas City Chiefs, you might lose to them week one, not just because the Kansas City Chiefs are a better football team, but because they're prepared going into a season, because they do real training camps. They play in the preseason. You're playing the Packers week one. I don't want to go into week one unprepared, and it seems like they're not doing that this year.
Okay. What I would tell you is that Nick Sirianni's teams have never come out unprepared.
You're right.
They're shot out of a cannon week one usually.
Exactly.
I mean, last year, they let that game get uncomfortable, but they were in control of that game at halftime and then let it get uncomfortable in the second half, if you remember.
Right, they did.
But the offense was slow starting the season. The other 2 years, they've been good.
Then why change?
Because I think what happened is they found out last year they had all that talent, but we kept looking at it going, I see the result. It's not looking good. No matter what anybody tells me, it's a win, but it doesn't feel like it.
Okay.
It's like they're not that good. And I think they realized a little self-awareness things got to be a hell of a lot better.
All right, so you think it's more self-awareness and not Vic
I do.
Fangio saying,
I do.
This is what I believe. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know why? Because
little kid.
Because he was almost on the unemployment line. The fact that they took a week to contemplate whether he would be back as head coach or not means to me they were kicking tires potentially, and they were also looking at it going, what's the positives, what's the negatives? And they decided to keep him. So I believe sometimes your job's on the line like that, pressure's on the line. Maybe you learn. I feel good about Nick being able to adjust to this.
Okay. Now, I am curious.
Okay.
We've talked about this before. Part of me does believe that there's a little bit, maybe not the reason, but maybe there's a little bit in the back of Howie Roseman's mind that he's back because he fired Doug Peterson just a couple years after winning the Super Bowl, and it would be bad optics to fire another head coach just 2 years after being in the Super Bowl. I do believe that might be a little bit there.
He fired him 3 years after winning a Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's like he got 3 seasons. One was that stupid COVID season.
Right, but I do understand what you're saying. Like the visual of getting rid of Nick Sirianni with the record that he has and the accomplishments that he had, that had to have been part of the conversation.
Right,
And I think it
by
would
the
have
way,
been dumb.
They mentioned it. Like, remember how he did the whole,
Yes.
hey, I'm not telling you to ignore, but if you take away the last 8 weeks of the season, this is Nick Sirianni's record. Now, you can't take away the last 8 weeks. The last 8 weeks happened. Like, those are set in stone in the history books that those last 8 weeks happened. So you can't just ignore the last 8 weeks. But maybe he was, and he's saying, look at all the success we had before this downfall. I can't get rid of him because of it, and it would look bad if we did. Howie Roseman and the Eagles were ripped when they fired Doug Peterson. Nationally. Like
They were ripped nationally. I felt here, I started the day he got fired.
I remember
Pretty
that,
much.
yeah.
No, the day after they threw the game against the Giants, against the Commanders.
Right.
Was it Redskins still at the time? I can't keep them straight. But at that time, I was expecting people to be more outraged that Doug got fired locally. The outrage came nationally.
Well, because the offense was dead.
Yeah, I think
the
people were
outrage
feeling
was nationally, though. And let's face it, I think the Eagles, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie, like how they're viewed nationally.
Yeah, I think they do.
I mean, look, they literally picked a game in Brazil to try to expand the fan base. Like, I do believe
Try to expand the fan base.
I believe that they do care about optics nationally, and maybe that's part of the reason why. I don't know.
They do.
Let's check the text line, and then we'll get to this wide receiver duo conversation. You can text the show, call in at 610-632-0975. Nick Sirianni, it seems like everything about this training camp, he doesn't have his hands on. Could be a good thing that we're celebrating.
Sure.
Or if it comes to time where you're going to need him to maybe answer some questions, and not just from the media, I mean the players, and the players go, wait a minute, you weren't the one that decided any of these things. Could that go in a bad way? What do we have on the text line, Connor?
Eddie from Camden asks, why do we constantly disrespect Sirianni? He's still our head coach and the leader of this football team, our football team. He's our coach.
He's not my head
Let's
coach.
walk the line and chill out here. He may not be calling the shots, but he's still leading the group of men.
I'm not a player on the team, so I don't care.
And I also don't think anybody is, to me, Eddie, even though I think I'm a kindred spirit to Eddie in Camden. We'd be hanging out.
Yeah.
We both lived in Camden. We'd be hanging out.
Yes.
I would say to Eddie, I believe I've heard disrespect on sports radio. Disrespect is, this guy's a freaking moron. He's a loser. I don't think anybody's disrespect. Their point of view, though different than mine, the guys I work with, I don't think you're disrespecting him
You know
at
what
all.
disrespect was? He had an introductory press conference and people wanted him fired because of how he sounded. Like, that's disrespectful.
I came in the Monday afterwards and read 3 different evaluations of the first press conference and then said, okay, I want everybody to know those what I just read to you was not an evaluation of Nick
telling
Sirianni.
me this, yeah.
It was Andy Reid's first press conference.
Right, and people ripped it to shreds.
I chose to handle it that way, as I said, as much as I wanted to, believe me, I'm on the line of scrimmage ready to, I'm going off sides.
Yeah.
I'm ready to, encroachment, I'm ready to. But I listened, and I said to myself, how bad was it when Andy started?
Right.
How bad was it when Doug started?
It was bad.
And it was bad.
Charlie Manuel.
So again, I gave him the grace of saying, we've been wrong before.
Right.
We may be wrong again. And by the way, I don't know that we're wrong on Nick Sirianni or not yet, But I don't think anybody is disrespecting him, Eddie.
I don't think so.
By questioning some of this stuff. There's no cheap. We do not have a cheap shot for the most
But
part.
here's the
radio
deal.
Show.
No.
Even if let's say my criticisms may come off as disrespectful in Eddie's ears, which I don't believe they are, but that's his opinion. That's how he's taking it. He's listening to the show. He has his opinion. I'm not a player on the team.
Correct. Yours doesn't mean anything.
I'm not Jalen Hurts. There's no. I don't have to squash anything with Nick Sirianni. Nick Sirianni might not know that I exist, right? Why? What should I care about me being critical of Nick Sirianni, or maybe me questioning how much power he has on this team, me questioning whether or not he's the right man for the job? I'm not a player on the team.
It doesn't
matter.
What we do, as much as some people in our business want to believe that they have great influence and they wield it, I believe our listeners are smart enough to make their own opinions. I think they hear ours, and I think that sometimes we can move the needle with them, whatever their opinion is, a little bit. But I don't think anybody tunes in the morning and goes, you know what? Whatever Kincade says, I'm right there with him.
Well,
man.
they definitely don't
I
say that
believe.
about you.
Or you. It's me in this room, boys.
Okay,
Come on.
Yeah, you're the
See
voice
this?
of reason, Connor.
I've been told.
All right, give us one more text, and then I want to tell you these wide receiver duos and why
I
A.J.
like this.
Brown and Devontae Smith could actually be considered the greatest of all time.
Ouch.
All right, we'll see.
is
Joe
wild.
from Jersey checks in. He says, I believe that Coach Sirianni has adapted to the new culture in Philadelphia with the new players and staff. However, I believe whenever football is being played in critical moments later in the season, the Eagles as an organization will have us all questioning what they're doing and the way they're attacking their game plan. I believe Sirianni is set in his ways, and we'll see that affecting the team further down the line or in the playoffs.
I hope that can't be true.
I hope that's wrong, but I can understand someone who has that fear. I can understand. I understand someone who has that fear.
If they're 8-0 with pre-snap motion,
Are they
going to all of a sudden go back to Nick Sirianni's offense?
Let's put it this way: is that I have no concerns this year will resemble last year. None.
No, neither do I. That's
None.
what I'm saying.
Like the game we're watching, the eyeballs on the game. I think we're going to be able to see it from the first, second, third game. Be like, wow, this is a different animal.
And
whether it means they go to a Super Bowl, I don't know. But it's still, I think it's going to seem much better.
And again, I don't know Nick Sirianni personally. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's like, hey, how come I'm not getting any credit? Like, he doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He seems like a guy that wants his players to be happy and he just wants to win.
Yeah, dude, like when he lost two coordinators in Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, and he had every right to say something bad about Jonathan Gannon after that Super Bowl, after the Vic Fangio situation, after the way that ended. Nothing. He said he's going to be great in Arizona. He said Shane Steichen, great offensive coordinator, called all the plays here, going to be great in Indianapolis. Like he stepped back there. He's stepped back multiple times from things that he has done that he realizes he needs to change, or he's been asked to change. Whatever the case may be, whether he's making the decisions to step back or Howie and Jeffrey Lurie are saying, hey, bro, don't do this anymore. Every time he's done it, everything he's portrayed, at least to us, has been accepting.
Right. And so I'm not worried about second half of the season, Sirianni's going to revert to his old ways. I'm not worried about that.
By the way, I guarantee you Howie Roseman does say to Nick Sirianni from time to time, hey, bro.
Back up.
I guarantee
Yeah,
you.
he does rip a hey, bro.
I guarantee you Jeffrey Lurie has never addressed anybody. Hey, bro. I guarantee
I think
you
Jeffrey Lurie could rip a bro if he wanted to.
I don't believe he could pull that off at all. I'm just saying. I can't see him.
I've seen him
with
dance
that.
in the locker room a couple times. He can rip a
Yeah.
bro.
I don't think he's ripping a bro.
No? Okay.
All right. You can chime in 610-632-0975, text line or phone line. We also have the Phillies on the table. Phillies lose again yesterday. John sees something good out of the last 3 games. I love where you're at. I'm just not there. Until they actually start winning ball games, I don't think they're out of it. Like, I don't think
That's fine.
there's no moral victories at this point for me.
No.
So a good loss yesterday, however you want to term it, does nothing for me right now.
Okay. You're telling me, like, because people will say to you, and I guarantee you we're going to hear some of this, loss is a loss. You don't take anything. Bullpucky, Friday night 10-2 is not the same as last night.
No,
5-3.
that's totally
a
fair.
loss is not a loss. How you play, how things are looking, I believe that this team is this close.
I tried to talk him into it yesterday, Johnny.
No,
I did
this
my
close.
best.
But then I'll say then they better win today. Like
No,
if
you
they go
can't do
out
that.
if they go out there and it's another 10-2 beatdown,
Well, that's different.
then it's like then that good loss meant nothing.
But dude, just because it felt like they were coming out of it doesn't change the fact that they're playing one of the best teams in baseball with a star-studded lineup on the road in a tough spot when they're floundering.
Okay.
Like I don't care if they had won like 10 and then they had like lost 2 series coming into it and it wasn't as bad. If you're not playing well and you're playing the Dodgers on the road, I'm not going into that series saying, they got to win it.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Well, then how about a win?
I can't believe
Yes, and that's what I said yesterday, and you couldn't agree to it.
I can't believe
wanna
I'm
know
here
the
with.
series.
I can't believe I'm here with Connor. I'm on Connor Island,
Welcome.
Yeah, you
which I think
about
CBS.
time.
I think CBS airs that like 3 nights a week. by the way.
Sometimes, yeah.
Nobody's
Connor
watching
Island.
that.
But I'm with Connor on that.
So A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. This article from Ruben Frank on NBC Sports Philadelphia is fascinating to me. Now,
Okay.
again, you got to think he's using a lot of statistics, right? And
Which I love.
yeah, but obviously context. The passing game has changed so much in the NFL these days,
It has.
right? Like some of the numbers that I'm going to read to you probably weren't happening 20, 30 years ago because the game has completely changed. Quarterbacks' lives are a little bit easier.
Understood.
Wide receivers can get away with a lot more. Defensive backs can't get away with as much, right? So obviously there's context to it. But in 2022 and 2023, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith each had at least 80 catches. They both had at least 1,000 yards receiving. They both had at least 7 touchdowns while averaging at least 12.5 yards per catch.
Okay, where's this leading us?
The only other duo from the same team to do that in back-to-back seasons was Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas back in 2012 and 2013 when Peyton Manning was the quarterback of the Denver Broncos.
God rest his soul, Demaryius Thomas.
Yes.
Wow. First of all, I never would have pulled that duo
Right, that duo. Right, exactly.
out of a hat. And it tells you the elite company that they're in.
The only other duos to have done that in back-to-back seasons, other than Decker and Demaryius Thomas, have been Chad Johnson and T.J. Hushmanzada. Hushmanzada, not a wide receiver. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, not a wide receiver. I think Hushmanzada was listed as a receiver.
I think
he was.
He was a receiver.
Yeah, but I
absolutely
think-
listed
But I think
as
he was listed as a tight end or something because there's a caveat in here. One's a receiver, one's a tight end. I thought Hushmanzada was a wide receiver, but I could be wrong.
I think it's ridiculous in today's game that people get that nitpicky about. Look, Travis Kelce's a wide receiver and a tight end.
Pass catcher. I mean, the
Exactly.
receiver Netflix documentary has George Kittle in it. That pass catcher,
Exactly.
they count.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, Hushmanzada always listed as a wide receiver, but that's okay.
Yes.
He fell off the back of a truck, right? Didn't he?
Hushmanzada?
Yeah, I think at one time he fell off.
I don't know.
I think he did. I think he fell off.
No, there was a Bengals wide receiver that didn't. He passed away.
What was that?
Wasn't it the guy that did the flip into the
Jerome
end zone?
Simpson?
No, I don't remember.
There
Boy,
was a
that's terrible.
Bengals player that
I'll look
passed
it up.
away
Like,
after
went off the
falling
back
off.
of a truck, yeah.
but it was not Hushmanzada.
It wasn't Hushmanzada.
And then he starts putting them into the same statistical categories as duos of Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne, Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden.
I love it.
And he said the
And-
best thing for them is that they're only 27 and 25, and they're both signed through 2028. So this duo, if everything continues to trend the way that it has been through 2 seasons of them together, statistically, they will blow those other duos that I just mentioned out of the water.
That's a wild number. That's and again, I wouldn't have been able to name you the other combinations. That's pretty good. I mean, it's look. I'm so excited they had the two of them locked down
For a while.
Oh yes, they do. And you get their primes. You bought their primes, especially Devontae.
Right. And what? So Reggie Wayne, I'm trying to think, like, Marvin Harrison was on the tail end when Reggie Wayne got there. Like,
They
they
had a
but the-
couple
but-
years of
Okay,
prime
they had,
together.
but
what? No, he was at the edge of his prime, right? I mean, Marvin and Wayne was ascending into his prime, if I'm not mistaken,
all I know is these guys are going to be doing it together for like 6 seasons.
which is wild.
It's gonna be amazing. They could go down as one of the best duos in the history of the NFL, which is insane to me.
For a team, too.
All right, coming up next, we continue these discussions. We'll get more of your texts and calls at 610-632-0975. It's Kincade and Salciunas right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Fangio wants to see
Coming up this segment, we just talked about how great the wide receiver duo of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is. There is another great wide receiver duo in the NFC for now. A lot of issues.
For now.
A lot of issues out in San Fran. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But I do want to get to the phone line, the text line. You could get in on the show at 610-632-0975. Nick Sirianni, his role as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. You're still the head coach. Nobody's downplaying that. But it seems like a lot of his beliefs are no longer being practiced. And if that's the case, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is that him adapting or is that him being told?
And it can be both.
It could be both.
You've acknowledged that.
Yes.
I think it's both. I think it's both.
I hope, if anything, it's both.
I think it's both. And I'm going to look at, I'm going to believe that he's got a chance to show us how evolved he is and to also let us know what imprint he actually has on this team.
Right.
But
we'll
I think
find that out.
I can tell you right now, you're going to need it.
Yeah.
You're going to need it. And Connor's going to need it.
I don't know.
It sounds like you would believe
Here's
that.
the deal. If they're winning games, then it doesn't matter. Like,
Exactly.
It's,
No,
not
no,
even,
no,
it's
no.
not even being talked about.
Wait a minute, whoa.
My biggest thing is if there is a stretch, because at some point they're going to lose. Was it Ravens, Rams, back to back?
It's Rams,
Ravens.
Right.
That's a tough spot. That could be 2 straight L's, right? One in the West Coast, one in Baltimore, coming back to the East Coast. And the Rams will be a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot. The Ravens, we know, will be one of the top seeds in the AFC. And people are going to start questioning, oh, wow, you played the most difficult stretch of your schedule and you lost both games. And I don't know, are we going to start looking at Nick Sirianni like, hey, what answers do you have here? Because last year you had none.
Is it happening again?
Well, players have that sort of reaction too.
Well, first off, I don't believe the players did last year. So I don't expect the players I expect them to have more information so they won't blame it on them. But if this team loses a couple games, I'm going to look at how they got to that point. And if I see that they've walked a different path, you know how like the 2017 team, the 2022 team was trucking people. Like,
right.
Like there were at least 1 or 2 games a month where they just dominated someone in the second half, became almost laughers. If I see that, and then they somehow lose good games to the Rams and Ravens, I won't lose the sleep.
And I don't think players will either. I think the issue last year was the coordinators didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they were horrible.
And the head coach didn't have an answer to protect them.
Right.
And now he doesn't need one because Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are going to take care of their business. And if they don't, well, then we've got major other problems that exist outside of Nick Sirianni, because then that's a conversation of how does Howie Roseman hire? How does Jeffrey Lurie run this organization and bring these guys in? Have you missed with 2 new coordinators both the past 2 years? Jalen Hurts, is he the guy? There will be so many other things besides the head coach to worry about if things go poorly this year. But there will also be very little to point directly towards him.
If either coordinator doesn't work, I can assure you that if it fails, I think Nick Sirianni will be gone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, to me, Howie Roseman should never hire another coach. And I've said that before. He's gotten to hire too many coaches.
Well, 2 of them have gone to the Super Bowl.
He should not get to hire another coach.
Well, the question might not necessarily be coaching. The question will be, is he allowed to have as much say as he's had? Because let's face it, the elephant in the room is the Bill Belichick thing, right? Like,
yeah.
What do you mean, like a demotion again? Not a demotion.
Not a demotion, but
a change of roles.
We've talked about if you hire Bill Belichick, will Bill Belichick and Howie Roseman be able to work with one another? Will there be a power struggle? Blah, 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 blah. The question will be, if Sirianni doesn't work out, are you going to hire another unknown commodity that you might be able to have some say over? Right, let's face it.
Oh, no, that's the only guy they're hiring.
Exactly.
No, that's the only guy they're hiring.
Now, should they be able to if
I
this
don't
one
believe
also
they should.
doesn't work out?
I don't believe they should. I believe if you keep doing the same things over and over again and you're not pleased with the results, then stop doing what you're doing. Rob Thompson, if you're up early listening on the app, you could take that advice, or you could just continue to ignore it.
Let's just hope none of this even has to be discussed, and the Eagles just win the games they're supposed to win and have a deep playoff run like they're supposed to have, like we expect them to do last year. Let's go to David in Philly. David, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah. basically the Nick Sirianni thing. I think that it's already been known that Nick Sirianni is just the manager of the team. I feel like the coaches coordinators that we have now, I feel like that, the Philadelphia Eagles, Jeffrey Lurie, Harry Roseman, basically
they run the show.
Yeah, and they run the show, and Nick Sirianni is just the manager. I looking forward to Nick Sirianni, because Kellen Moore does have an issue with basically, stat padding down the stretch. Like, if we winning the ball game about 20-plus points, he wants to keep it going. I do look forward for Nick Sirianni to do, just to pull the guys and everything like that. But I don't think that he should be one of those guys that, or the coach, I should say, that,
But here's the thing, David. Here's the amazing part. And thanks for the call, dude. If Kellen Moore, let's say Sirianni says, "Hey, Kellen, I don't want you to do that." And I said we were going to expand on this, and I forgot. I apologize. Does Kellen Moore go, "Yeah, dude, I was brought in for this"?
No, I think that.
Does Vic Fangio say, "Wait, you want me to do that?" No, I was brought in for this. You failed miserably last year.
Well, first off, I believe there would be more respect, but I understand.
I believe there would be more respect,
too.
Yes.
But, I saw Mike McDaniel, the coach of Miami.
Yes.
When Vic Fangio, and they're doing the in-season, and Mike McDaniel shows up to a defensive coaches meeting, and Vic Fangio sort of you can see the look.
Yeah.
What are you doing here? What are you contributing to this meeting? And I think it'll sort of be the same way. I think Vic Fangio knew that when he got hired,
he's the head coach of the defense.
Here are the keys. And you know what? We've seen this when Jim Johnson was here.
Yeah.
We saw it when
Jim Schwartz
was here. It works.
It does.
It works. And many teams have this philosophy, especially if you got a guy that is so competent. And by the way, and a guy Schwartz who had already been a head coach.
Right.
Jim Johnson had not. But you got a guy that you can just say, "Hey, I trust this guy."
Yeah.
I trust him.
Right.
And I feel that way. Vic Fangio, he didn't have a great run as a head coach, but he understands the total job. And he understands
but do you think that this is one of my, and I don't want to say concerns, because again, I want Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio to run the show, but does there come a time they were brought in immediately? It was Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore are available. Save us. You're our only hope. Does Sirianni?
Is that a Star Wars reference?
Yes, it is. Does Sirianni?
Well, I caught that.
Does Sirianni have much say? He's still the head coach. He's still the head coach. I'm not naive to this kind of stuff. But let's say the Eagles lose and Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni disagreed on an offensive call. The next day in the meeting room with Howie or on the flight home, right, or on the bus ride back to Novacare, whatever. Does Howie side with Kellen or Nick?
We're going to say, I think at that point, Howie would say, "Nick, a reminder. We brought in Kellen Moore for his expertise and everything. Why are you overruling him at the most important part of the game?"
So then why should a player? I don't want to.
Because I think players
say respect.
Because I think this. I think if a decision is made in a game, much like us in a pre-show meeting, I think that there are players that would go, "Yeah, I understand what Sirianni wanted."
Right.
And there are others that, and by the way, if Sirianni wants a pass play and Kellen Moore wants a run play, I believe Jalen Hurts would then come on over to Team Sirianni. He'd want the ball in his hands. That's my coach backing me up to make a big play. So I think that there's always that dynamic that works there too, that we're looking at. And again, the fact that I didn't hear anything about him losing the locker room gives me a lot of...
I know, but you know what?
A lot of zen.
Losing the locker room. So I don't think he lost the locker room last year with the Matt Patricia move. Well, let's face it, Howie Roseman made that move. We all agree.
Yes.
Howie Roseman.
No, but that's why I think that the locker room was toast at that point.
Right. But
it appears.
But if I'm a guy in the locker room, and remember, no player was asked about it. They just made the decision.
No.
That Matt Patricia was going to be the defensive coordinator the rest of the season. If I'm a player and I realize that Nick Sirianni had no power to say no, and everybody liked Sean Desai as well, right? Everybody liked Sean Desai. Sean Desai didn't lose the locker room.
No, they liked him.
They may not have believed in his play calling, but they liked him. Like, that's the thing. They might like Nick Sirianni, but do they respect him? That's a question I have.
And again, I think that there's a difference between liking the guy and liking the coach. I don't think that any player shed a tear that he was gone.
No, I don't think so either.
So
how do they feel about Nick as the head coach is something that I'm curious. They like him as the guy. Do they like him as the head coach?
Well, that's the thing. It's a weird, unique situation. We need to separate Nick Sirianni from head coach. We do. And I'm not saying, like, fire him. No, I mean, like, literally, we need to separate what Nick Sirianni is going to be for this football team from everything we've assumed a head coach to be since we probably started watching football with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's different even than the Tomlin and Harbaughs because those guys got to those positions by being elevated high enough that they do everything well. Nick Sirianni has gotten to this position by not doing anything well enough to be in charge of either the offense or the defense. And he does some things well, which is communication and planning and motivation and stuff like that. That's what we believe to be his strengths. But that's not a true head coaching role. That's a small part of it. And that's all he's being asked to do. So if the players recognize this, and if Nick Sirianni is willing to accept that role, there could still be respect for him in that role. You just won't. You'll go to Kellen Moore with offensive questions,
with other things.
Vic Fangio with defensive questions, and when you go to Nick Sirianni, it won't be something about football. It will be more about, like, why are we doing this? Why are we thinking this?
And I don't think that Nick Sirianni is going to allow the setup to be come to me to go over Fangio's head.
Exactly. No, I don't think so. I think it's a collaborative effort.
And I think Sirianni. One thing I know about Nick Sirianni, he has people's back.
Yes.
And I think he's going to have Kellen Moore's back and Vic Fangio's back.
See, I appreciate this conversation because you guys are making me feel a little bit better. Like, I'm not, like, sitting here saying the season's over. Why is he still here? I just had a question as I was driving in this morning. You could climb in at 610-632-0975.
See, I had a wrong way driver, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. I had a nice, easy drive. We got to get into this Brandon Ayuk situation in San Francisco. That seems to be crumbling, and I absolutely love it. And, oh, by the way, I saw a headline this morning. This will be a quick, 1-minute discussion. But I saw a headline this morning on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I just sighed when I read it. I just kind of want him to stay away. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missinelli on why he loves sports in Philadelphia.
I'm a product of sports in Philadelphia. I grew up here.
Having on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll get to a couple more text messages. We got to get into this Brandon Ayuk situation in San Francisco. But real quick, I saw a headline on NBC Sports Philadelphia today.
A deep exhale there.
Yeah, here, let me read the headline word for word.
Okay.
Because that's literally the reaction I gave when I read it.
You sound like my daughter when I tell her something. Dad, seriously?
So I'm on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I like to look at, all right, what are they saying about the Sixers, the Eagles,
All right.
Flyers, and then here's the Phillies one. Walker could rejoin Phillies rotation Sunday. And I just went,
You don't feel better than that than Colby Allard? Come on now.
I kind of never need to see Taiwan Walker
I got
pitch
you.
for the Phillies ever again.
Do you need to see Colby Allard again, or do you need to
No.
see, or do you need to see a bullpen game?
No,
Then I want you to zip it. Then I want you to zip it.
Yeah, dude, you're off
Zip
on this
it.
one.
How about
You're off on
we
this
just
one.
how about we just punt the game? Like just say
No,
here,
no.
dude, you guys win this one. I just don't like.
No, you're off
You
on
need
this
to
one.
snap out of it right now.
Seriously.
Oh, you like watching Taiwan Walker
No,
pitch?
I don't.
You enjoy it?
I don't.
I don't like
but
a bullpen
feel,
game.
I feel like you're getting broken by where the Phillies are at right now,
No,
and I
I've been
can't
broke. No,
lose you.
Taiwan Walker's broken me since last year.
Okay,
No.
well, guess what? You have guys worse than him throwing right
Yes. You have worse guys throwing than him. Yes,
I
you
don't
do.
know.
now. You
yes,
absolutely
you
do.
Mr.
Yes, you
5-6
do.
Mr. 5.60 ERA this year.
Yes.
He's been
Yes.
horrible.
You have worse guys pitching for you. You have a better chance to win, no matter what anybody tell you, with a bullpen game, Colby Allard, whatever it is. And not saying that Allard's not going to work out eventually down the line.
No, he might stink.
He might. I remember when he was.
I
with-
know Taiwan Walker does.
Yeah, but
You don't.
no, you don't.
Yes, I do. 5.60
Andrew,
ERA.
hey,
That does not
Andrew,
mean he's good.
What do you know?
Hold on. He
What
won
do you
15
know?
games last
You
year.
know that the 2023 Phillies found
Come
a way to win more often than any other starting pitcher they had when he pitched last year.
Yeah, because the bats came to life whenever he started.
So as a fifth starter, you honestly on this one, you need to zip it.
I don't need to see him pitch ever again. He had a
You-
4.38 ERA last year. Don't give me 15
But
wins.
no, but the team found a way to win games. They're not finding a way to win
Yeah,
games.
you know why? Because they said, "Oh God, Taiwan's on the mound today.
What do
We
you
better
think
freaking hit."
What do you think Tyler Phillips or Colby Allard's
Seriously.
like record or ERA would be if they pitched 20
If
games?
they had to pitch 20.
Dude, I'm not saying. I'm just saying I
That's
don't need
exactly
to see Taiwan
what you're
Walker
saying.
ever
Whatever,
again.
they don't have an option. There's no other option.
Okay, yeah, okay, I get it. He's got to pitch. I just don't want to ever see.
Like, listen, you know what you're doing?
What?
This would
broken.
be like
He is broken.
This would be like if you were catching for the Phillies and John was complaining they started Garrett Stubbs over you. That would be insane, and that's what you're doing right now because you don't like that option. But
I'm
guess
not
what?
saying
It's better.
give me Colby Allard over Taiwan Walker. I'm just saying when I saw the report that he's coming back soon, I didn't go, oh, yay, we're going to have some insurance coming back. Oh, yay, we're having a better arm coming back.
I did.
It's just another guy that's going to throw batting practice, and that's the problem with him. You're giving him $100 million to do absolutely nothing for you, but throw BP and eat innings.
So you're taking it too far because he doesn't do nothing for you. He makes you better compared
He
to
makes
where
you
you're
better
at.
compared to what you have.
Yes, he's better than Colby
So then
Allard.
that's what I
Congratulations,
want.
you won that discussion.
what I
I'm not
want.
arguing that.
You were Mr. Trade Deadline. Do anything to make this team better, and now they're going to do something to make this team better.
I
and
wanted
you're
it
complaining.
back into the rotation starter.
And
Oh,
you
you're
said
getting
you're
one.
getting one.
No, I'm not doing the whole, oh, this is just as much as getting a trade.
I want ice cream, but I don't want that flavor. Guess what?
Yes.
You're getting Taiwan Walker.
You know what?
You're gonna
Sometimes
like
I
it.
don't want bad flavored ice cream, and that's what Taiwan Walker is in this rotation.
We have any Gorilla Glue in this place? Because this 4-13 stretch or whatever it is has broken you in a bit, and we're going to snap.
I don't want to hear you guys complain about Taiwan Walker giving up 6 earned runs this weekend.
I can complain about Colby Allard doing it, and I guess what? I will complain if he does it. But he's going to be better than two of the options that are pitching in your rotation right now.
And John, you and I were on the same page. We both wanted them to actually
I did.
trade for a back-end starter.
I did, but they didn't
because
do it.
I didn't care about Taiwan Walker coming back.
I wanted to have Garrett Stubbs on his way out
Me
of town.
too. And I don't know why you're
unfortunately-
arguing with me when we are on the same page.
Because you're being way too negative on
No,
this
because
one.
I don't say, oh, thank God they're getting Walker back.
No, nobody's doing
that. The second
that.
part of that headline is, Suarez progressing. That I like.
That's awesome.
I like it
But the
too.
first part, I go, all right, so great. Allard's out, Walker's in. You might have a better chance at winning a start here and there when the guy's going to give up 5 earned runs and you hope that your offense scores 6.
So your team's marginally better, and there's nothing to complain about.
Correct.
No,
correct.
I can complain about them not addressing it at the trade deadline. This, to me, is not You know the old saying of, oh, well, it's basically like you acquired somebody at the deadline because the guy's coming back off of injury. You're not getting a good player.
You're getting a
Are
better
you getting
player.
somebody who can give you what Michael Lorenzen gave you last year? Yes. Yes.
I don't think he's throwing a no-hitter.
Shorter than
No,
no.
I'm not talking about.
I don't think he's coming close to that.
I'm not talking about one night. I'm talking about the other 1/3 to 1/2 that was batting practice with Michael
Yes,
Lorenzen.
I got you. I just hope this guy that's coming back, who has been throwing batting practice and has since gone to the IL twice because of his arm, is going to come back and do what? Keep them in games?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
hope.
Right.
Am I expecting it?
Okay.
No.
No, but I'm expecting it's more likely with a pitcher who's been at the major league level for
Yes.
a lot longer than any of these other options.
And more importantly, his team found ways to win last year when he was on the mound. He did enough that the offense was able to be adequate enough to win.
The offense,
And
had
so
to,
that's
no,
it.
the offense had to do a lot than just be adequate.
You want $1 or $2? $2 isn't buying you anything either, but it's more money.
It will at this vending machine. Everything's $1.75.
See, now you're looking on the bright side.
All right, Brandon Ayuk looks like he's going to get traded. Right?
It does. It
all,
looks that
all
way.
signs are
No, it
pointing
looks
to
that
this
way.
at this
Good.
point.
Yeah, I love it.
That's freaking awesome for the Eagles.
Oh, it's delicious.
And you know what? I can't wait to see Brock Purdy have to play without those weapons. Everybody, remember, he's now all of a sudden Mr. Amazing, right? He's going to get this big contract. Let me see how he is without Brandon Ayuk.
And more importantly, we all know it's going to happen. Every single member of like Dallas Goedert seems to go down every year for like 4 games.
Yes.
We know that one of those other guys, McCaffrey, has an injury history.
Yeah.
Even though he's been solid.
So does Debo.
When they lose one of those other guys, I think they get ordinary. I think they
It'd
get
be nice.
ordinary. Like middle of the road offensively.
It would be nice,
Lost
right?
3 straight without Debo last year.
Yeah,
you
exactly. All right, coming up next, we reset the show. We got a lot more in store for you. Today's headlines with Connor Thomas as well. We got more discussion on Nick Sirianni and his role as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning. I work with 2 Taiwan Walker fans, 97.5 The Fanatic. Just can't believe it's already 8 o'clock. Hope you have a safe trip into work today.
And please do so.
Yeah, seriously. John saw a driver on the wrong side of the road today.
Coming down the Schuylkill, and I had to take a picture because everybody was doing
you showed it. Like, you didn't make this up.
He was 2 car lengths from me.
Okay, well, I was late. What do you want me to do?
And you're just finding a way to get here?
And I honestly, and it's a buddy of mine yesterday in sports radio industry, Sean Marash, his father-in-law got killed yesterday in a car accident.
Sorry to
and
hear
I'm
that.
like going, and my wife and I talked about it all last night. And then I'm hearing people honking their horn this morning as I'm rounding the bend on the Schuylkill, and I'm hearing honking of horns. I'm going, it must be on the other side of the road. And then all of a sudden I see a bunch of red lights and then white lights coming this direction.
Yeah, that's
so whatever
scary
happened,
stuff. Yeah,
it was not fun. But by the way, everybody was alive.
That's good.
So whatever 2 cars ended up hitting, everybody was alive. So that's a good thing.
That's a way to start your Tuesday.
That'll
morning.
wake you up. Yeah, it'll wake you up.
You had the Monday, you had the 3-day weekend, and all of a sudden, maybe that's one of those days you're like, oh man, that 3-day weekend was nice. No, it woke you up, I'm sure.
I'm glad I did my morning offering on the way in, or I would. You never know.
Yeah,
I'd have
absolutely.
been 6 cars faster.
All right, Jeff McClain joins us coming up in 10 minutes. Can't wait to talk to Jeff. Speaking of wide receivers, we talked about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, that story from Ruben Frank of NBC Philly about how they can go down as like one of the best duos ever. Johnny Wilson is getting a lot of love in training camp right now.
And it's more than some of the craziness you've seen before.
Yeah, not like a Paul
it's
Turner.
Not like, exactly. This is a guy who has...
First off, this is a draft pick. Like Paul Turner, like some of these guys are undrafted. No, this guy is a draft pick that they got, and it's not Tyree Jackson, who they converted from quarterback to tight end. This guy that plays wide receiver. And there's a wide receiver 3 battle right now.
And I said to you in camp, I said to you when he was drafted, I was extremely intrigued watching a lot of ACC, SEC football. I was extremely intrigued if he could be a toolbox weapon.
Right.
It sounds like he might be more than that.
Yeah, and look, remember all the talk, and another draft pick, and I hope he has a tremendous career. All the talk coming out of the draft was how it was going to be Ainias Smith, who was going to be like the clear wide receiver 3, or maybe they bring in a vet like a Paris Campbell, and then eventually Ainias Smith takes over as that wide receiver 3, the small receiver that on a 3rd and 6, he's going to be open at the sticks. Who's that guy that used to do it with Buffalo and Dallas all the time?
Oh, the
Cole Beasley?
Cole Beasley. That guy didn't matter. He was finding the first down marker. It was incredible, right? And I always wanted a guy like that could just find the stick, catch it, get a first down, sure hands. And everybody thought Ainias Smith was that guy. He's apparently not been having that great of a camp, but Johnny Wilson's been tremendous. So I can't wait to talk to Jeff about that coming up at 8:10. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up in a few minutes. But here's what we're talking about today. Phillies obviously on the table. They lose last night. Johnny is feeling a little bit better, though, based off of what he's seen the last 3 games. So we'd love your reaction.
Yeah.
And look, I don't think you're crazy. I'm just not going to say they're out of it until I actually start seeing them winning games.
Okay. And that's not I can't consider that.
Because I have to see how they respond. Like, the way they blew that game 3 nights ago, I'm thrilled that they won the next day.
Well, you had your hoss pitch like a hoss.
Yeah, absolutely.
You did not get that last night.
But if they didn't win with the Zach Wheeler start after blowing that lead, a 5-run lead, like, I told Connor, I would have come in full-blown panic mode yesterday. Like, I'm thrilled that they won on Sunday.
Oh no, it would feel much different if you didn't see Wheeler bounce back like that.
Well,
and I wonder if they're shelving Suarez purposely.
They might be, and I don't think that's a terrible. When it's the back injury twice,
but it's bleeding. The team's bleeding out.
But we all agree they're going to make the playoffs, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
So I'd rather Ranger Suarez be
correct.
Okay, no matter where you're at in the standings, whether it's NL East winner or wild card, I'd rather Ranger Suarez be healthy come playoff time.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think we all would.
It's the conversation we had about playing starters in the preseason yesterday. Like, if you had the blatant, like, black and white option of healthy or not, like, you're just going to take healthy if you believe the team is good enough.
Right.
Yep.
The other thing that we're talking about, Nick Sirianni his role and the power that he has, are we giving him a credit for adapting, or is he just being told what to do at this point from Howie Roseman, Vic Fangio, and Kellen Moore? Give us a text, Connor.
I think it's both.
And then we'll get to today's headlines.
All right, we got a bunch of people who are weighing in on both sides of this coaching thing. It's very interesting when it comes to that. Chris from Morrisville says, my question is, what's the difference between how Nick influences a certain side of the ball and an offensive specialist head coach? Do we think that McVay or Shanahan has any influence on their defense? Interested in your opinion on the difference and how that impacts Nick.
I don't think McVay did when he had Wade Phillips. Right, we literally talked about this.
No, he did not. The first call I know for a fact. First call Sean McVay made was to Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
He had gauged, would he be interested if he got a head coaching job? And then when he got the Rams job, he literally went to him and was like, okay, you ready to come in?
Yeah.
And Wade was very clear. Am I doing my thing unencumbered?
And Shanahan, I don't know.
No, I can tell you, he's Kyle Shanahan's is one of the biggest control freaks.
Yeah.
And he absolutely has the power to tell the defensive coordinator what to do, how he wants it done, and everything.
Right.
He's had enough success. 3 NFC title games, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and another Super Bowl appearance as a coordinator.
Now, I find it interesting. Saleh was tremendous as a DC, then get a head coaching job. D'Amico Ryan's obviously tremendous. I forget the guy's name last year. That they fired him, didn't they?
They did.
Like right after the Super Bowl?
They did. He was the scapegoat.
Yeah. So who knows? It's an interesting question though from Chris on the text line there. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
All right, what do we got, Connor?
We got some good stuff here, and we've got a commercial, or I guess a social post that we saw yesterday from the NFL. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later in a different vein, but if you didn't see it, Jalen Hurts was the center stage idol of a commercial or a social media post on the Olympics coming to Los Angeles in 2028 and the flag football that's going to be played there. So a little bit of his only line of the commercial here.
It's our turn.
That's literally the only thing he said in the whole 35-second video, but he throws like a football on fire into the torch above the LA Coliseum. My question is, how do you guys feel about Jalen Hurts being the face of the NFL?
No.
No, he's the face of
America.
He's the face of flag
No, he's
football.
the face of the United States of America.
Possibly the world.
They could have had anybody do that commercial.
Anybody willing to do it and get paid for it.
Dude, I think it's a pretty freaking big deal for him personally. It doesn't do anything for me. Like I'm not like sitting here going, "Wow, I'm so happy for Jalen Hurts." But imagine if somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, John, we want you to be the face of the commercial of Marconi Award winners, like our walk of life."
Sure.
This guy is an athlete, right? Football player, but he's an athlete, and he was asked. He could have been 10th in line. Who knows?
Exactly.
He was asked to be the face of the Olympics coming to the United States of America.
It's fantastic.
That's freaking cool, man.
It is really good. And by the way,
cool.
He is one of the best deep ball throwers in the game. So that visual of him throwing and lighting that flame.
Maybe
great.
they should start playing with a football on fire.
I'm worried about his hands, though.
I wanted to say screw it, A.J. Brown's up there somewhere and quote tweet it, but
there we go.
I left that one in the
But I think that's cool. For him personally, I think that's got to be such an honor.
Yeah, for sure.
To be the face of the United States of America for the Olympics.
Now, speaking of the Olympics, and a guy who is getting a great honor right now, at least to him, playing for his country, Joel Embiid. Now, I know where Johnny stands on this. I know where Andrew stands on this. But let's find out where Charles Barkley stands on this, because Chuck was on Paul George's podcast and talked to him about his thoughts on Joel Embiid in the Olympics so far. It was not a glowing review.
Y'all got a nice little window. Now, I hope this is a wake-up for Joel, this Olympic experience. He has not played well, and I'm hoping he's like, yo, man, I got to get in better shape, because me personally, I think that's one of the reasons he's always injured. I don't think he's in good enough shape, but I think the way he's played, which is not well during the Olympics, should be a wake-up call for him, like, you know what, I got to get in better shape, I got to get healthy, because if we don't win the championship or go deep in the playoffs, it's going to be because of me.
All right, I love Chuck. Love him. He's not in shape come the season, and that's why he's injured. I'll compare that to the stock cheesesteak footage on Sunday Night Football?
Yes.
Like, Joel Embiid has actually been in incredible shape to start NBA seasons, the last 3 or 4 years? He used to have a problem.
Last year, he was in incredible shape.
So,
But.
No, the Olympic thing, he might be right about the Olympic thing.
He is right about
it.
And
I believe some of it has to do with the knee injury, and I didn't want him to play. You know that.
Yeah.
I did not want him to play, and maybe he couldn't get into playing shape because of the knee injury that clearly hampered him in the season and in the playoffs. But to say that he gets hurt because of his lack of shape, that's cheesesteak footage during Sunday Night Football.
If his face was in better shape, maybe he wouldn't break his orbital twice. Like to me, but the thing is, though, he does, again, and you cannot deny it, when anything is even slightly off with him. The body language sucks, and he acts like he's an extra from Saving Private Ryan. And that is, I think, turns off a lot of guys who played in the NBA and played through a lot of heavy stuff to play. And whether that's fair or not, perception.
Turned off a roster that's being built pretty well right now.
We're gonna see how it goes.
All right. That's today's headlines with Connor Thomas. Thank you, Connor.
No problem, boys.
We'll be joined momentarily by Jeff McClain from the Philadelphia Inquirer, Inquirer.com, as today's another day of training camp. Speaking of, Kellen Moore will be speaking to the media coming up at 9:40 today, so we will carry that press conference live here on Kincade and Salciunas. Yesterday was the Vic Fangio one, and we're going to play some Vic Fangio audio coming up at 8:30, specifically about linebackers. So yesterday's press conference, John, I'm sure you've gotten a chance to at least read some of the responses, or I don't know if you heard the whole thing.
I saw some on NBC Sports Philadelphia.
It's better than the last one in terms of where the team is. Because remember, the last one was very honest about the defense needing a lot of work.
I thought he had some great stuff on Jalix Hunt.
I thought that was a great, honest answer.
Yes. I'm sure Jalix Hunt didn't love it.
Maybe not.
But it's all right.
Maybe not. But he basically straight up said, the competition in the NFL is a lot better than Houston Christian. I think we all know that.
Yes.
Like, that's not anything crazy. I appreciate his
the
honesty. And I'm sure the reporters do as well. Let's head to the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. From the Inquirer, Inquirer.com. Absolutely love his work. Jeff McClain joins us. Jeff, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Do you appreciate the honesty from your job standpoint that Vic Fangio provides during his press conferences?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it's night and day between what we are typically used to getting around here. And probably, we had some other guys. I think Billy Davis tried his best to be honest, the former defensive coordinator. Jim Johnson, I caught the tail end of Jim, and he certainly kind of said what he felt like needed to say. We're not going to get 100% transparency, and I expect that, right? You have to protect the team to some extent. But, I don't understand sometimes the way coaches and players approach, or at least players kind of are following the team's leads. But, there's nothing wrong with, pointing out a player needs to improve upon this or that, or that, this player maybe is lacking in this or that, or whatever, a scheme flaw, whatever it is. It doesn't hurt the team to be honest about stuff in that regard. Certainly there are things that you want to protect. There's players you want to protect, and certainly as a coach, you don't want to lose your players. But at the same time, I think they need to know sometimes that, whether it's publicly or privately, that, the coach knows exactly what is going on.
All we hear about is crisp offense, efficient offense. How eye-opening is it to you, who has seen all the practices of seasons past, in comparison?
The offense right now?
Yes.
It looks good. I wouldn't say it's explosive right now. I think a lot of that is a byproduct of Vic Fangio's scheme, right? There's a lot of too high safety shell, and that's kind of, it's designed to limit those types of plays. But and a lot of it you have to take with a grain of salt when maybe Jalen had been touched up or it looked like he could have been sacked, and he throws the ball and it's completed, and they run out of play. And look, I'm watching this stuff kind of on field level. It's not like I'm rewatching it on film or whatever. But I it looks better than, especially with the first-team offense and Jalen Hurts than it did in the spring. I can say that, and I think that there's been, gradual improvement. There have been a couple days where maybe the offense wasn't as crisp as it was early on, and then recently of late, it's looked pretty sharp. But again, you guys know me. I don't want to get too high or too low about the team at this point. You have to see a lot more before you start making any really kind of proclamations about what they may be this year.
By all reports, Johnny Wilson's having a hell of a training camp. Is he leading the charge for wide receiver 3 right now?
Again, taken in the context, maybe better than people are anticipating for, a 6th-round wide receiver. And the fact that he is kind of getting reps with the first team. Now, they shuffle players all throughout various units, but clearly this is someone that they value more than some of the other guys, the lower guys, the Aeneas Smiths and Joseph Nadas of the team, even John Ross, who was a tryout and came in the spring. Obviously, we know about him, former first-round pick. Paris Campbell's been hurt, and that's allowed Johnny to get maybe a few more reps at the first team. But, especially in the red zone, I think that is something that he thrived at in college, right? This is a 6'6" receiver who can really, he's strong and big. He can outmuscle guys for the ball, go up and get high point the ball over smaller defensive backs. And we've seen that in one-on-one drills. And just yesterday, there was a rollout, naked rollout, and Jalen had a couple of options, Devontae deep and Johnny short. And Devontae was, I think he was covered. And maybe Johnny was covered a little bit by Achille Ringo, but he, the ball was thrown slightly behind him, but that might have been the best place to throw it. And Jalen trusted him, and he made the catch. So, certainly I think Johnny Wilson is a guy that maybe can contribute. They also like his blocking. I think with the third receiver, it's how many targets is a third receiver really going to get with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, and Saquon Barkley, and et cetera. So, maybe too much is being made of it. And I still feel like Howie Roseman has maybe a trade up his sleeve or bringing someone else in for that spot. But right now, that they clearly like Johnny.
If Brandon Ayuk was traded from the San Francisco 49ers, how much do you think that affects bringing them back to the pack of maybe where 49ers, Lions, Eagles, or another team that you believe is right there at the top of the NFC?
It's just one player, and I think receivers to some extent are overvalued. If you look at Super Bowl winners and teams that have continually been, thriving, look, they have receivers there. They have a lot of weapons. Christian McCaffrey is probably the most important person on that offense. So I don't think it, and Kyle Shanahan is a genius schematically in play calling. So I don't think it really makes much of a movement. Makes much of a tremor in the NFC East. In the NFC, excuse me, if you're really asking me the truth.
Speaking of Jeff McClain of the Comcast Business Hotline, Jeff, how's the right guard battle going? I know Tyler Steen's missed a lot of time. Has Mekhi Becton run with this opportunity, or do you think there's still a competition?
When Steen's healthy, 100% healthy, he'll be back in there. They want him to win the job. He's a third-round draft pick, right? And Becton, it was signed to a one-year deal, right? They want him to be kind of the reserve, kind of swing tackle, and they're given an opportunity at guard, and you can see why it's appealing to them. This is a big guy. He's immense. He's powerful. He can move bodies inside. There's a reason why he's never played there before, though. He's kind of top-heavy. He's just built like he's a long guy. He's like 6'8", 300-something pounds. You get sometimes those big guys, tall, long guys at guard, but typically not. But he's still big. And, yesterday, for instance, he got a false start, and then it kind of looked like he missed assignment. So he's still trying to pick up things. But I still feel like Tyler Steen, I'm not saying that he definitely has the job, but they're going to give him every opportunity to win that job. And he should be back here in the next few days.
I was in Parks Casino the other night, and I took Birds to win the division, Birds to win the NFC, Birds to win the Super Bowl. Now, the Super Bowl may be a little pie in the sky, but do you think I'm being a little too, also over 11.5 wins? Do you think I'm being a little too confident, a little too chesty?
So it's 11.5 wins?
Yeah, over 11.5. Yeah. Oh, no, the over, no, the win total's 10.5. But I already bet.
Okay.
I bet over 10.5, and then I slid it up and bet over 11.5 also.
I think I would take over 10.5. I think I have 11 and maybe even 12 because the schedule is just not as devastating as it was last year. Now, look, we have to see how other teams. We know the NFL changes year to year, sometimes even week to week. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, I think certainly the Cowboys. We all know they'll. They have the talent to win the division. You look at the Giants and Washington; those are teams that are not quite there. So the Eagles are going to win games in the division, and it should be down to those two teams. So I think the NFC East is a pretty good bet. The NFC, right? I mean, look, the NFC is not as strong as the AFC. We know that, but San Francisco should be there again. The Lions. Maybe it's possible to take a step back, but they still have a lot of talent. So, and there's other teams, Rams, maybe they rebound, et cetera. So there's a lot to play out here. But I think I like your first bet.
There you go.
All right, last thing before we let you go, Jeff. We're going to be talking a lot about the linebackers coming up next. John asked you the question earlier: how much does Kellen Moore's offense look differently this year compared to offenses in the past under Nick Sirianni? Have the linebackers looked any different? Mainly, my question is, any better in camp so far this year compared to what you saw last season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard you talked to a lot of coaches. Sometimes it's really hard to zero in on the linebackers or see what they're doing in camp. Devin White, yeah, legit. This is the guy that's played here for years. Played at a high level for years. I know, obviously, he had the regression last year, but he's an upgrade over what they had last year. I mean, Zach Cunningham really, honestly, wasn't that bad last year. He was their best linebacker, but you had the issues. N'Kobe got hurt, and then Nicholas Morrow was not the answer, and then now you have Zach Bond, who looks good in camp, and this is a guy that really kind of played more. He's played inside, but he's also played edge, so. They like him at inside linebacker. It seems like those are the top two guys, but don't rule out N'Kobe. I mean, they drafted this guy in the 3rd round. I know that he's had some rough practices. The open practice was really tough for him, especially in coverage, and that's kind of always, I thought, been the issue for him. He just doesn't move well sometimes, laterally, and that can cause problems for him. But when he's moving downhill, that guy can bring thunder. I mean, he knows how to defend the run. He's done pretty well here whenever they've asked him to blitz. So, I think it's probably going to end up being some sort of rotation with those three guys, and it should improve the defense. But the biggest thing is really, honestly, Vic Fangio calling the plays. This is his scheme, right? I think he will make those guys better, just himself.
Jeff, you're the man. We appreciate it as always. Sorry for the last-minute text. I'll be bugging you again next week, all right?
Thanks, Jeff.
No worries. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
There he is, Jeff McClain on the Comcast Business Hotline. I forgot to text him yesterday, and then it's 2 hours. I don't want to text him at 5 in the morning. Hey, can you come on for a few minutes? All right, coming up next, I mentioned we're going to talk about the linebackers, but there's also something I want to get into from what we just discussed with Jeff, something that bugs me, all right? Whether it's right or wrong, it's something that bugs me. Shocker, something bothers me.
Yeah, wait till you hear the end of the hour.
97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies slide continues. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by KFC. Get a taste of KFC.
On Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the linebackers because Vic Fangio spoke about them yesterday during his press conference. A more positive press conference. Not as much nerves about some of the players defensively, but there's still some things that he's pointing out. And one was, I almost feel like a direct shot at Howie Roseman, which I appreciated. But before we get to that, something that Jeff McClain said, and he's not wrong, but it's just something that bugs me. Tyler Steen, they want him to win the job because he was a third-round pick. Nakobe Dean, he was a third-round pick.
He's spitting truth to you. You don't want that to be their philosophy.
If Mekhi Becton is winning camp,
and by the way, it appears every single thing you hear that he is.
If he's winning camp, he should earn the job, right? And I know sometimes life isn't fair. I get that. There are some times where people don't get jobs for certain reasons.
Yep.
Right? So it's not just a football thing, it's a life thing. But if Mekhi Becton, who is making this transition from tackle to right guard and is apparently, by reports, doing it seamlessly, and we'll see come preseason games, we'll see, again, organized practice is a lot different than preseason games, right? If he's a guard, he's going to have to pull. He's going to have to be able to go block at the second level at times. It's not just you're a strong dude, you protect the quarterback. But by all accounts, Mekhi Becton is doing great at right guard. And Tyler Steen has missed time because of injury. But Jeff says they would like for Tyler Steen to win the job because he was a draft pick.
I think that Jeff, again, is speaking from his knowledge of what he knows about how that organization works. And I believe he would be like every other GM in the business. They all want the guys that they scouted and they picked to be the guys who start because it's a flex.
But then why can't you be in the same breath? Because I think you're right. It goes back to the Alshon Jeffrey thing. Alshon Jeffrey took snaps away from Travis Fulgham because Alshon Jeffrey was getting paid, right? That's my firm belief. No, that has not been denied. It hasn't been confirmed. That's just my true belief that this guy, in a season where they weren't winning anything, Alshon Jeffrey didn't need to be on the field. Why don't you try to see if you have something? To your point, John, why can't Howie Roseman go, I unearthed Travis Fulgham?
Yes.
Oh, nobody else had the vision to move Mekhi Becton to right guard like I did? I get the draft pick thing. I drafted Tyler Steen. I want him to be the right guard because I drafted him to be so. But at the same breath, he can say, I'm the guy that realized Mekhi Becton is the draft pick bust that everybody's calling him a bust. I discovered that he can play right guard for this team.
There are ways to do it. It looks much better when you find because why did you have to go shopping for Becton? Because of previous mistakes you made.
That's a fair point.
And that's what it is. Look, it's how it goes.
I guess you could word it anyway to make it seem like you did a good thing.
Correct. And Jeff is speaking. He's spitting facts.
Look, Andre Dillard had opportunities before Jordan Mailata. Why? One was a first-round pick. One was a seventh-round pick.
Amen.
But Howie Roseman gets all this credit for unearthing Jordan Mailata, even though 0% chance he was scouting rugby football. But that's a conversation.
Oh, you're saying Howie's not a rugby guy?
I don't think he selected Jordan Mailata based off of his football eye. I think there was a scout that said, hey, Howie, take a look at this. And he probably okayed it.
I think it was scouts looking at tapes that were making the rounds of NFL teams saying, give this guy a look, give my client a look, give him a shot. And then somebody's looking at it going, man, this looks good.
Let's try it. Yeah, and Howie pulled the trigger. But I don't know. It's something that bugs me when I hear, well, they paid him money, or, well, they drafted him.
Well, the
Seattle Seahawks paid Matt Flynn? Who was the quarterback that they paid?
The Seattle Seahawks.
Was it Matt Flynn?
The Seattle Seahawks paid him.
And then they go, you know what? Russell Wilson's the better quarterback.
Yeah.
Do you think they look back at that decision and going,
no, they appreciate it.
Yeah, they won a Super Bowl.
They got to 2 Super Bowls in a row, should have won 2.
Yes.
And so, they look at that as a good decision. But they had just paid Flynn.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So why should it matter?
I'm not debating what you're saying happens and has happened in the past with Howie Roseman, but I think this situation is a little bit different, and Jeff McClain did bring up, Mekhi Becton's on a 1-year deal. So let's just look at it this way, right? If Tyler Steen is able to play and is able to be productive, monetarily, that significantly helps the Eagles.
Right, because you have him under contract for a couple more years, whereas if Becton plays really well, you're going to have to pay him X amount of money.
Right.
But if he plays really well, okay, then you're putting money into your offensive line that you usually are doing.
And nobody said, they're not going to play Mekhi Becton. What Jeff McClain said was the Eagles want it to be Tyler Steen because all they've got they invested a third-round draft pick in him, and he's on a rookie contract. So financially for the team, it would be better. Future for the team, it would be better. Sometimes you try and create the situation you want to happen. Now, where you go too far is when it's obvious that the player that you're trying to push into a role is not good enough for it.
Right.
And they have done that in the past.
They literally last year.
But this situation, because of the rookie contract versus one-year deal, a guy you're going to have to pay, a guy for a first-round pick that could probably talk his way into a big contract if he has a good year, and Mekhi Becton, it would be easier if Steen was the guy.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that.
You get it. I mean, you get it.
It's something that bugs me. It's like, well,
it can't go too far.
If a guy's winning a job, then that guy should win the job. And that's a life thing, man. But that's a story for another day. All right, Vic Fangio, here he is yesterday during his press conference. John, you circled this one earlier today.
Yes.
Talking about how it's hard to play without good inside linebacker play.
I think every defense in the NFL relies on high-level production from the ILBs, especially with the way the game's being played now. ILB used to be a position where you somewhat could overachieve and be a tough guy. But when the fullback disappeared and he's been replaced by a third wideout or a second tight end that's a good receiver, the game's played in space more. But yet they still run the ball a good deal. So the ILB position has become a more demanding position in this last decade or so, and it's hard not to play good defense without good ILB play.
That's a nice shot for Howie.
These guys are working hard to get to that level.
Yeah. That's again, Vic Fangio doesn't give a blank.
No.
He's not going to cover for anything that he doesn't like. He's going to let it all hang out. And by the way, I've seen enough videos, and Mark Schlereth talked about it. He is a guy who can be self-critical too. After games, we're going to see that.
Okay.
So
and I'm looking forward to that.
Because he'll throw bombs at other people.
Dude, McClain straight up said he likes it. And look, from a job standpoint, obviously it's great. But
it's good for us.
Man, from a fan standpoint, too, if you're just sitting back and Sean Desai, I remember last year, again, he's not wrong in saying this. The team couldn't get off the field on third down, right? And, one of the questions was, what's the issue with third down? Well, we get to third down. It's not like they're killing us on first and long or second and long. We're getting a third down. We just got to find a way to make the stop on third down. It's I don't need you to pat yourself on the ass about first and second down. Tell me how to get off the field on third down. Whereas Vic Fangio is just going to give you an answer. And I appreciate that.
He is.
From a fan standpoint, I appreciate that.
I just think he's going to I think there are going to be times this year where he loses his mind a little bit.
All right, and I'll welcome it as long as it's not detrimental to the team.
Exactly.
Speaking of inside linebacker, Zach Bond seems to be getting that job, even though he's never played it before. Here he is himself talking about what he prides in himself when it comes to the inside linebacker position.
Yeah, it means a lot. We talk about it a lot, and it's one thing to talk about it, but it's a next level to do it and do it consistently. That's something that's always been in my game. I always pride myself on that. I'm a hustle guy. From being a special teamer, it's all about effort and tenacity and always moving around, so that's always been part of my game. I appreciate that.
I love that. You'll fit right at home in Philadelphia as long as you're talented.
As long as you're talented.
I believe that every linebacker is physical and has tenacity. I don't think there's a soft linebacker in the NFL. Who?
Soft or just guys who aren't as much about the physical nature of the game.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's a degree.
But you got to be talented. And let's see, man, that's a big question mark still. A guy that's going to be playing a different position this year and a guy that's mainly been a special teams player. All right, coming up next, you scared me.
I should.
John sent a list of ideas, and one of them literally made me scared to the point where HR might be involved.
Oh, no, they're going to be monitoring coming up.
This is an unhealthy work environment based off the text alone. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds Insider update on
38 on Kincade and Salciunas. And I have, where are we at? Where's our HR? Naples, Florida?
Yeah, they're listening.
I believe so.
By the way, we'd like to welcome Naples. Listening in.
I thought you were going to keep going.
No, they're listening in just for this segment.
So I'm nervous because John texted us. Here's the word-for-word text that he sent us this morning.
Okay.
Andrew has to answer for something directly to me, was the text I received. During the break, I just saw you meander over to Brendan, like, you got that ready? And I'm like, I don't know if you're playing mind games. I don't know. And then all of a sudden, he says, right as we come back from break, he walks in, mics are off. So you ready?
You ready?
I'm like terrified. Like,
you shouldn't be terrified.
My heart's pounding right
I'm glad I'm in this room. You guys figured that out in there.
But I think there's one thing, and I think Connor could attest to it, is that, like, if I'm unhappy with something, I'll say it.
Yeah, as you should.
And so I want the audience to be a part of this.
Okay.
And Connor, you're not blameless, but I'm going to let Connor just play the audio from yesterday morning's Kincade and Salciunas.
When you weren't here, okay. All right, Rob Thompson. I want to have a legitimate conversation about him because sometimes, I say this out of love, it's hard to have conversations with John when he's got his belief and he's going to stick by it. That Rob Thompson is a manager that is, he said what? His mediocre tactician. What did I say that was wrong?
How dare you?
What did I say that was wrong?
How dare you in a million years present your opinion as, well, John's not here, so we can have legitimate conversation about Rob Thompson.
It was legitimate.
You are so freaking out of your freaking mind. Rob Thompson, there are as many people, if not more, that agree with me that he is not
Doesn't mean they're right.
a good tactician. No, it doesn't. But it absolutely means you're painting it as like there's some outsider. We can have legit conversation anytime you want.
When you're not
about
here.
Rob Thompson. Now, how about this? I'm pulling into Monty's yesterday. I had the car inspected. Monty's.
Monty Williams?
Monty did a great job, and it's a great place. Jason Martinez, big fan of Monty. So I pull in and get my car inspected. I'm hearing this as I go in. Not only that, a listener then tips me off to it going, I was just listening. Boy, you need to take Salciunas out at the knees. He's saying,
well, that's not very nice.
He's saying, he's ripping on you about your opinions on Rob Thompson. He goes, does he watch the games? I said, believe me, he does. Look, I know we have a different opinion on Rob Thompson.
Yes.
But how dare you
maybe it was a little
suggest
wrong on my part.
We can't have legitimate conversation. I will tell you this much. I'm spitting facts when it comes to Rob Thompson.
But here's the problem. This is where you're not spitting facts because it's one-sided facts.
No,
because
it's not.
you only point out the bad decisions.
No, it does not, because I praise the man constantly.
No, from the tactician standpoint.
No, the tactician standpoint, I wouldn't pick him in a game of Connect 4.
Well, then that's wrong. Then you should not.
I'm watching it again.
Then you are one-sided in your belief when it comes to Rob Thompson.
Dave Dombrowski has not told Rob Thompson, you may not pinch hit for Garrett Stubbs. You may not. What the hell was the double steal the other night with Bryce Harper, who didn't even know who didn't even know? And I can tell you, I didn't play above Marple Babe Ruth. Brumall Babe Ruth did not play above 15 years old. And I sure as hell was told how we would execute that. If you were going to try to have the runner trying to break, the runner has to commit and break from third.
Yeah, right
that team's not prepared. That team is terrible on the base.
Is that Rob Thompson's fault, or is that Bryce Harper's fault?
No.
You were given a sign. You're told what to do.
This team is not.
That's on Bryce Harper.
This team is terrible. You know what happens? If we're terrible on teasing, or we're terrible on hitting our breaks, if we're terrible on doing things that are fundamental to this radio show, our bosses are not going to say to us, okay, guys, it's 3 years now. You should be able to figure this out. Nothing. What Rob Thompson does well, I think he does exceptionally well. What Rob Thompson does poorly, having his team prepared to do fundamental things correctly or holding guys accountable when they don't.
Yeah, but how can you blame Thompson for Bryce Harper not breaking? It's because Rob's not getting in his ear as the third base coach saying, "Hey, as soon as they throw to first, break for home."
At some point, when a team is very fundamentally flawed on the base pads, the manager has to say, this has to be a dedicated effort of, we can't have this.
All right,
whether it's in spring training, whether it's otherwise. You can't do this.
Now, let's see if that play happens again. let's see if the runner on third breaks for home right
Also,
away.
they're batting 500 on that play this year. They did execute it earlier in the season well.
And this is a team that is, and I will just use John Kruk as been. You know, this team just at times isn't smart on the base paths. And I say it all the time. It's not a smart baseball team. As talented as they are, they're not.
And
it's up to the manager to make them held to their feet to the ground.
And we talked about that play. I blame Bryce Harper.
It should be.
For not breaking home.
It should
I will
be.
say this, because you may have missed it when you were driving
I was going
in.
into Monty's.
I said that I didn't like the play call to begin with because it seemed desperate. It seemed like a desperate play call.
I don't understand why they did it. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
Put the bat out of Nick Castellanos' hand.
After
By the way, that's the manager's decision.
No, that's fair.
It was the manager's decision.
But you ignored the good decisions that he is.
No, I don't. I call them if they do. No, if they happen good, I'll say that they're good. There's more bad than good.
All right, coming up next, we'll continue this discussion.
How dare you?
And we'll get more text reaction. Hopefully we can have legitimate conversations. I don't know if we can. Also, at 9:10, you mentioned, Connor, during headlines, Jalen Hurts, the Olympic commercial. We're going to build our own flag football team. It's going to be fun. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Another opening loss for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Groundwork.
It's 97.5 The Fanatic on this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning. John and I had a moment after our battle on the air, because I can't have a legitimate conversation about Rob Thompson with Johnny. We did have a moment. Connor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
And this is a
I feel like both of those things are HR violations.
this is a TMI couple of minutes for you.
Oh, okay.
I apologize to John, not for what I said yesterday,
No, not at all.
but for my body odor today.
Yeah.
I smell.
What?
Dude, I stink.
Yeah, he's got a little body odor.
I reek today. And there's a reason why. When I went to go put on the deodorant today, you know how when you're near the end, might just fall out of the little, because you're twisting it up?
Yeah.
It fell out onto the floor in the bathroom. So I'm not about to rub bathroom floor on my pits.
Okay.
So I had to go deodorantless because no stores are open at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, did you shower?
Yes.
Then you shouldn't be that stinky.
I sweat.
He does
Like
sweat.
now?
No, he pits out.
Dude, I'm soaked right now.
He pits out by the 7 o'clock hour.
It's too
We're
hot
sitting in
here.
a chair talking about.
No, he pits out.
Dude,
My goodness.
I sweat. All right.
Our old buddy
leave me alone.
Jamie would be embarrassed for you.
I thought I sweat. You sweat.
Dude,
No,
I
he
sweat.
really does.
So, but we had a moment because his deodorant stick broke off this morning too.
The same exact thing. The end of
It's weird, dude.
the end of my Old Spice.
I'm an
end
Old
of my Old
Spice
Spice
guy too. Wow.
I was using the sort of beige one. I think it was Fiji.
Fiji.
Yes,
Dude,
I can do the rest of the show.
Dude,
you
this
guys
is
want to
weird.
step out for a minute?
And
dude, Fiji's the best one. It smells so good.
I did the one pit, and then I go to do the other pit. And I
We're
get
having
like one
moments on
swipe,
the air.
and then it fell off the thing, and I had to put it in the trash, and I had to clean up stuff off the floor.
Yeah, because it's blue and then it's all on the floor.
it wasn't
See,
good.
this is why inclusion is so tough, though, because your guys' moment has never made me feel less a part of this show. I literally
Well, you don't
can't
smell.
smell.
You can't
smell.
smell.
And you guys are, this scent, and that
it's a
scent.
great scent.
All right,
And then we had one more.
shove it.
And then another one.
And then, because John asked me, why didn't you have like a backup stick? And I said, Christy bought the wrong one for me the other day. We've been together for 10 years. I don't know how she still doesn't know this. I'm allergic to like the white like I need the gel.
You're allergic to a lot of stuff.
No, he's allergic to the paraffin or whatever they call it.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Like I burn. And so I quite literally can't use it or I am in pain. And John has the same thing.
I look like a monkey.
Yeah.
I literally,
We're itching all day.
if I use that other kind, I have to literally scratch like a monkey, and I'm sure.
Oh my God, there's
that-
two of them.
I'm sure that. Look, we're 4 days apart.
Yeah, birthday-wise, it does make sense.
We are close, so.
I might need to tap Brendan in for the bullpen. I don't know if I can handle two of you guys.
HR, don't
Either
worry.
direction.
There you go. Everything's fine now.
Throw out the paperwork.
Yeah, everything's fine now.
Our armpits brought us together.
It brought us together after Andrew's betrayal yesterday. But I forgave him.
Yeah, well, you know
Pits
what? Now that I know you're an armpit buddy of mine, then I have to take back what I said. All right, we're going to build our flag football team coming in a few minutes.
I'm looking
because,
forward to this.
It's coming to the Olympics in 2028 when it's in L.A. Jalen Hurts was the face of the commercial for it. Remember, he was in the Pro Bowl where they played flag football, so maybe he'll be in consideration. I don't know how that works. I don't know.
Yes.
I saw Brian Windhorst did a story that the FIBA rules for the 3-on-3 basketball does not allow you to have like legitimate players on it. So like, you know how we have a Team USA of 15 guys on Team USA?
I think it's 14, but I'm not sure.
Like the 15th and 16th and 17th guys can't play for the 3-on-3 team, which is stupid.
Exactly.
But like, it should be the best of the best, but whatever. So I wonder what the rules will be for the flag football. Like, will an MVP of the NFL be able to play in the Olympics for flag football?
Hell yeah, why not?
Don't forget,
no.
training camp is happening.
Correct.
Like, I don't know if they'll be able to.
I don't know if teams are going to want them to.
Right. They
Like,
might not want them
to.
to.
Going to risk injury.
The Olympics are happening right now, right? So, like,
The Olympics are happening.
preseason week 1 is this week.
It's kind of crazy, but like, and this is a conversation for when we get closer to 2028 and when it actually happens. I don't consider it an injury risk, like as
Why?
much as basketball in the Olympics is, because the United States are going to be so much damn better than everybody else. I don't think they're even going to have to try.
We don't know if that's true.
We do know that's true.
No.
Come on, dude.
Literally, the under
Come on,
20
dude.
football.
Let's stop with the under 20 Japan beat the U.S.
Yeah, but you know why? Because all the best players are playing in the SEC. They're not playing
Yes,
for
they're
some.
not playing for Team USA.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you send the professional players,
Right.
they're not going to have to try
no,
hard
not
enough.
even the professional players. I'm saying the D1 players. But they're going to also be in camp. Like, I don't think Dabo Swinney wants his quarterback playing for Team USA in flag football. He's going to want him at camp leading up to week 0.
I don't think it'll be because of injury. Like, I really think that we're that much better.
No, we are. We are. All right, so we'll do that in a couple minutes. But let's check the text line. What do we got, Connor, on today's topics about Nick Sirianni and our Phillies discussion as well? You can text the show. You can call the show 610-632-0975. And the Nick Sirianni conversation was something that just kind of hit me this morning when I was driving into work. There's going to be Eagles playing in the preseason, it seems like. I think we all agree. I asked Connor this question. I'll ask you. Do you get the sense that the starters will be playing?
Yes.
I get that sense, which is something that Nick Sirianni has not wanted to do. Vic Fangio comes in. It seems like he demands it, as does Kellen Moore. Vic Fangio wanted a more aggressive practice. They got it. Kellen Moore wanted more time in the practice. They got it. A lot of the things that Nick Sirianni does not want to do is being done.
Yes.
So does he really have much say? Is he adapting for the good, or is he kind of being told what to do? What do we have on the text line, Connor?
We might have a bigger problem on the text line. We have a text here from someone that says, I swear to God, the same thing happened to me with my Old Spice deodorant this morning. And now,
that's wild.
Now it's becoming like a worldward conspiracy.
Is big deodorant?
Big deodorant is collapsing.
Big deodorant collapsing.
One day it's the stock market, the next day it's big deodorant.
Yeah, dude, that's right. Maybe there's a correlation.
It's the end of times. That's what's happening to the Phillies.
I'm pungent today. Like, I got.
Okay, we'll move on for the deodorant.
I kept
please.
it good enough. Yes.
We have people checking in as well on the whole preseason players playing. Randy from Ambler says, I'm so tired of hearing people complain about starters not playing in the preseason or the Eagles not having physical training camps. Nick's the head coach, and we're all fans. None of us are scouts or have any say on who's making the team. They may need more time to evaluate guys in their own way, and I don't care to see the starters playing an exhibition game.
See, I need the starters to play.
I do too.
Wait, so read that. Can you read that text again for me?
Yes.
One more time.
Randy from Ambler.
Yes.
I'm so tired of hearing people complain about starters not playing in the preseason or the Eagles not having physical training camps. Nick's the head coach, and we're all fans. None of us are scouts or have any say on who's making the team. I don't need to see the starters playing an exhibition game.
All right, well, the guys that are making the determination probably want to see them in playing situations, no?
That's what he's saying. He'd rather see the backups who are on the fringe of making the team than the starters who you know are going to be there.
But there are some guys that I don't know who will be starting.
2, maybe?
The defense is up in the air, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Is it?
Yes.
Like how much?
Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo are both still fighting for that opposite corner job.
Okay, one position.
Quinyon Mitchell is kind of getting slot because they need somebody to play the slot.
And he looks like he has at least... Look, a defensive coordinator that's not worried about him learning on the job.
Yeah, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson left practice yesterday.
Supposedly nothing.
Supposedly nothing, but if he goes down, I don't know who, like James Bradbury's trying to play safety. But if we're following that mentality, James Bradbury's been in the league for X amount of years. He doesn't have to play in the preseason. He's trying to play a new position. He should play in the preseason. And by the way, he was horrible at corner, that he should probably still get some reps at it. Like, there's a lot of guys that should probably play a little bit. I'm not asking for Jalen Hurts to play 3 quarters. I'm asking him to go out there with a new offense, with a new offensive line, mind you. Right? Like, Cam Jurgens is now your new center. You have a new right guard. I need him to take some snaps, being able to read pressure. He's now the guy that's calling out the blitz. Right? Jason Kelsey's gone.
Yes.
I would like Jalen Hurts to be able to call out a blitz in a preseason game and not try it for the first time in the regular season.
I agree. You're looking at me like I'm Randy.
No,
Randy said it.
Well, you read it.
I was explaining his point.
Randy's just, Randy, don't feel attacked.
No, I'm just.
I feel attacked. I'm taking it for you,
I'm
Randy.
not attacking Randy. I'm just attacking because this is something
Sure,
that
I get you.
I've been against the Eagles' practices the last couple of years. Now, granted, they got to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so sometimes I might be wrong.
And you'll change.
And I'll change, but I changed last year because they got to the Super Bowl, and I thought last season they struggled the first 4 weeks because of it.
It could have been a part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, flag football is coming to the Olympics in 2028.
I'm floored by this.
Hang on. Do you want the Jalen Hurts audio again? Let me get it for you real quick.
It's our turn.
Wow. Great job, Jalen. Great acting.
How many times did that take? How many cuts did that?
I would hope one.
No, it didn't.
No, I would hope one.
Jalen, be less mopey.
So, flag football.
Yes.
You get 12 guys to your roster. 5 are on the field.
5. So starting five. Like you have a starting five.
Yeah, so like the 3-on-3 basketball, you have 4 guys on your team. You have 1 sub, right? So 5 guys will be on the field. Again, offense, defense. There's no special teams.
Is there blocking, or are they all skill positions?
So there's a center who snaps the ball, and then the rusher does the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I don't know how many Mississippis it is. I don't know if they're allowed to do a straight blitz. I'll be honest with you guys. I've not read too in depth the rules to Olympic flag football.
How about this? You're not choosing an offensive lineman.
Well, no,
you're choosing skill.
You're
choosing skill.
I think you have a center. I think you.
No, you have someone who hikes the ball.
Yeah, I don't know if they run a route.
But you don't. They can.
I don't know. Do that?
No, they can.
Again, I don't.
No, they
I
can.
didn't read the.
There's these guys are all. They're out. Then they're allowed to.
Sir, are you trying to say an offensive lineman couldn't run a route?
When the guy rushes, then that guy is allowed to leave.
Okay.
So that guy is hold his position. The guy who hikes the ball in this Olympics competition is going to hold his position until he can move laterally.
Right.
But until the guy rushes to the line, he cannot release.
And if the guy rushes, he can cross the line of scrimmage, catch a pass.
And then catch a pass.
So you could put a tight end there.
Oh, maybe you did.
To.
Maybe I did.
All right. So
maybe I did.
Let's focus on offense.
My team's
because it's gonna be hard defensively.
Yes.
Offense. All right, let's go position by position. You have 5 guys on the field.
Yes.
Quarterback.
Lamar Jackson.
I agree with you.
I also agree.
Wow, we all agreed.
Scrambling and flag football.
There's no question.
Right. Unbeatable. Jalen Hurts is a great answer. Maybe he'll make it as a backup. But Lamar Jackson, much more explosive. And oh, by the way, I would like to see a cornerback from Australia try to intercept one of his bullets that he's throwing. Because Lamar's arm.
And we're just doing the offensive.
Freakish, yeah.
Okay.
All right, then fine. Let's do the tight end at center.
Mark Andrews.
Okay.
I'm going Mark Andrews.
I'm going George Kittle because I think he's a little more athletic. And again, it's open space.
I want Mark Andrews because of the familiarity with the quarterback.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I think he's one of the best in the game. And I also like the physical nature of it. He's fine. He's going to create some
physical. You're pulling a flag off someone.
He's going to be. It's going to be all right.
What physicality is there?
No, I'm saying as
you
far
probably
as
get
just,
penalized for physicality.
I like how he's going to be able to move well.
Okay,
Connor,
Jason Kelsey. I want to see him play football one more time.
You're putting Jason Kelsey at okay.
He can catch the ball if he needs to.
No,
you don't
can't.
need every guy. He snaps. Yeah, he's going to put a great snap every time. Plus, he deserves it. He got us that gold medal in rowing.
His team's losing already.
Okay.
All right, and then
who'd you pick?
I went George Kittle.
George Kittle. Okay.
I can't believe we had a center and you guys said no Jason Kelsey.
I guess you get one running back, right?
You get a one running back, and I pick mine.
I got to see this one.
It's Christian McCaffrey.
I don't think so. I'm going A-Chain from Miami. I think he's the fastest running back in football. And he's got solid hands out of the backfield. I think speed is the most important thing.
I don't think he is the complete package that McCaffrey is.
Yeah, but
the speed is different. But I think he is not the complete package as far as run the ball, catch the ball.
See, my first thought is Saquon, and I'm not doing the homerism thing.
I'm shocked at that.
But no, but to your point, Saquon's not busting a hole through the middle.
That's the thing with McCaffrey too. McCaffrey's good against contact, but you don't have to be. You just want the guy who's fastest.
All right, fine, I'll give you one.
Okay.
Because this guy does line up as a running back sometimes.
Okay.
I could make a legitimate case for Deebo Samuel.
You could.
Yeah.
No, because the Swiss Army knife type of offensive player that he is.
and he's a guy that can make guys miss, not just because of physicality.
Okay.
Right, but some of it is physical. I almost want my team to be smaller. Skinny, small, quick guys that are harder to get the flags off of.
I got one of them.
All right.
On my roster.
Let me just say this. There's no way none of us don't have Tyreek Hill as one of our first.
He's on my team.
Yeah, he's got to be in this make-believe Olympic flag football team because they're going to be at training camp, so they're not actually going to be playing. Tyreek Hill is on everybody's list.
And then there's one other. And I got a second tight end, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's on the team. I'm taking the right Kelce on my team.
You're building the team for actual football with pads.
No, I'm not. I think Travis Kelce would be fantastic. First of all, too, I think he is one of the things that he knows how to do, shielding the body and shielding the ball, shielding that
So you'd rather go double tight end than double wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson.
Yes, because you can move the ball down the field. And I love Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. I'm fine with both of them being on my team.
Okay. I'd rather go Hill and Justin Jefferson. Where would you go?
I'm not going Jets. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase.
Okay,
I like the size a little bit better.
Okay.
I get that too.
Now, I will say this. There are like a million guys. Like Cooper Kupp would kill in this because of his route running. And let's face it, the cornerback from Australia or, I don't know, Japan, I don't think they're locking down Cooper Kupp or any of the best route runners in the NFL.
But Kupp would be maybe a backup. He's not in your starters. Right?
I mean, none of these guys even have to. You could put Johnny Wilson out there as wide receiver
He'd
one,
probably
and
be
you're
pretty
winning the
damn
gold
good.
medal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing about all this.
It's very much like Team USA basketball. Like, you kind of expect them to just go
more
out there
so,
and win.
dude. There are major professional European basketball
Yeah, that's
leagues.
true.
Football is standalone United States.
All right. Well, that's your Olympic flag football
I like
team.
it. No, you know what's funny is this is something that'll get me to turn on the Olympics.
But they're not going to be playing. That's the only thing.
I know.
You say that. I don't know, man.
This would get me to turn on the Olympics. I wouldn't miss this.
Now, apparently a caller said a quarterback can't scramble in Olympic flag football. What does that mean? Like, there's a box that they can't leave?
I guess you just can't cross the line. You can
No,
scramble.
I'm not saying
Well,
no,
that
but
would change.
scramble.
Well, then that
Yeah.
would change. I don't believe he can. No, there is a. It's hash marks.
Okay, and
But he can go forward, and it's between the hash marks. As far as I read it yesterday, it is between the hashes.
Okay, and I expect
there's
Lamar
plenty of-
Jackson to be able to make guys
Lamar
miss.
Jackson can make somebody miss and then hit a hole. He's not going around the end.
Right.
There is a lane that they can, but there's no problem. Lamar Jackson takes the ball under center sometimes and takes off.
Right.
Off of a tackle or otherwise. I have no problem worrying about that.
I'm glad that we all had Lamar.
And we all had Tyreek Hill.
Now, let me ask you something.
Yes.
How cool would it be? It would be cool. I don't know if it'd be best for the team if, like, Brady said, I could still sling it. I just don't want to get
No.
I just don't want to get hit anymore.
Don't you dare.
Don't you dare.
Dude, you wouldn't want to see Tom Brady be the quarterback for Team USA?
I can,
Olympic
but
football?
you guys just went. You had a position of center, and you went anti-Jason Kelsey.
I don't
But
wanna
now
see-
you want Tom Brady?
No, and I don't want to see.
You want the villain to come out of
I don't
retirement?
want to see a bunch of Botox ads during the Olympics either.
Who are you rooting for, Salciunas?
If Tom does any,
Jason Kelsey, it doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield or
He
out of
definitely- he definitely could.
or out of the front field.
He's got ball skills.
how much do you think Tom's moving?
He doesn't have
As tight as they've now pulled his skin.
might
He
not
doesn't
have
have
to
the
move.
flexibility he once had. Seriously,
I don't
he
need him to move. I just need him to sling it.
He cuts to his left quickly. He may lose like his right cheekbone. Might just tear free. If he gets one more surgery, he's going to have to unbutton his shirt.
He's
to take
in
a pee.
Paris with Team USA. Maybe he's already.
I saw
in the works.
I saw where Dawn Staley got to hug him.
Yeah. Look, he was doing stuff behind the scenes with the Dolphins. Maybe he's just doing stuff behind the scenes with Team USA. Maybe he is getting himself for the Olympics in 2028. All right, give us another text message there, Connor. Don't forget, Kellen Moore speaks to the media coming up at 9:40. We'll carry it live here on Kincade and Salciunas.
Andrew DeCecco also had a problem with his Old Spice deodorant this morning.
Are you
this
kidding
is
me?
This is just getting weird. Like
4 people, all Old Spice.
Now I wonder if DeCecco is also a Fiji guy because he seems more like
he's not. He said he was Aqua.
He'd
Okay.
wear the red.
Yep.
He'd have the
Aqua
red
Reef.
container.
Sorry, Aqua Reef to be correct.
Aqua
But still,
Reef.
that's 4 deodorant sticks that had a malfunction this morning.
Wild. All right.
that's really
I'm going to need you guys
weird.
to expand on this one a little bit. Short text, no name on it. Nick Sirianni is like Ted Lasso. Now, I think people just write that off as, oh, you're comparing him to some character from a TV show. But you look at that and you say, okay.
Well, the other coach was the guy that came up with all the game plans.
Right.
The Wonder Kid.
And
Wonder
when you
Kid,
look at
yeah.
a situation where, I don't know, you need to talk to the players about the locker room or the way that you're interacting with other coaches or stuff like that, or you just have something going on throughout the course of the season that's not necessarily football related, was there for that. Is that a valuable enough position? Is that logical or is that Hollywood?
No, I think part of it is valuable because if times are tough, that guy's there to, like, it's very Rob Thompson-esque, right? Like, he can keep everybody kind of on the same page. The only problem is times were tough last year. And the locker room, whether it was Sirianni's fault or not, was not prepared to play football games. And
was not. They
at
weren't.
some point, the good guy attitude doesn't overcome lack of coaching. And that's something that they had last year. All right, coming up next, Kellen Moore speaks to the media at 9:40. We'll carry that live for you. We got some other stuff to get into, including the Phillies. I'll say it again, Connor, and how they need to win tonight.
Oh, now your tune shifted.
And I'll explain why they need to win tonight. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in about 10 minutes, allegedly, Kellen Moore will be speaking to the media. Vic was on time because Vic Fangio is a professional.
Vic Fangio he is one of those guys. 5 minutes early is late.
So we'll see if Kellen Moore is on time for his 9:40 press conference that we'll carry live here on Kincade and Salciunas. So tonight, the Phillies play the Dodgers, game 2 of this series. And I need them to win tonight, man. I need them, and here's why. I can't rely on Tyler Phillips to avoid a sweep. And this is not me taking a shot at Tyler Phillips. Tyler Phillips was tremendous up until his last start. I just can't go into a Wednesday night trying to avoid a sweep with Tyler Phillips on the mound against the Dodgers. So I need them to win tonight.
I don't think that's I think a lot of people would share your desire to see that. And I want to see Christopher Sanchez, too, who has been a little bumpy lately, but certainly not a problem.
No, not a problem.
He's been a better pitcher than Aaron Nola's been.
Yes.
And so to me, I'm expecting him tonight to come up in a big spot. But again, it is a great pitching matchup.
Yeah,
so it's going to be fun to watch.
His last outing was not good.
No, it was certainly not his best work.
I know he didn't give up all. I forget who came. Somebody came in. It was Jose Ruiz came in, and
it was not a good day.
Allowed some of the runners on base to score.
I think Clayton Kershaw is a shadow of himself.
Yes.
And he almost has – by the way, he has a worse ERA than the guy Clayton to the Phillies rotation. Clayton Kershaw –
one game?
Clayton Kershaw with a 6 ERA.
2, I think. 7.1. I think it's 2. 7 and a third innings pitch, I think.
I think it's, something.
Yeah, he's
and Clayton Kershaw just – here's the thing for the Phillies tonight. Tell him it's a playoff game.
That's true.
Yeah.
And tell him this is a big. Tell him it's a big game. Tell him it's a big game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, someone give him some Halloween candy, and Clayton Kershaw is just going to.
That might work out.
No, but dude, we talked about this yesterday. This is why I was because yesterday, John,
I needed them to win yesterday, and they didn't win yesterday, Connor. So now I need them even more to win today, so they don't get swept tomorrow.
I got you. You need them to win every day. My point was the way you look at this series. The Tyler Phillips game is going to be a tough one. The Christopher Sanchez against Clayton Kershaw probably should go your way. And the Aaron Nola, Tyler Glasnow one is a toss-up. So heading into that and saying you need them to win the series is expecting too much. They could, but what would be progressive for the Phillies is that they play good baseball against the Dodgers. And I think we saw that last night, which is why John and I are encouraged. And you find a way to get out of there with one. Then all that does, though, is that ups the stakes when you play Arizona, a team you should take 3 out of 4 from.
You could take 3 out of 4 from, and you have every reason to want to lay one on the Arizona Diamondbacks.
So you say should. I'll say better. Better take 3 or 4 against the Diamondbacks.
I'm saying when
it's getting to the point where they got to start winning baseball games, man.
I want you to win 4 of the next 6. That's it. I want you to win 4 of the next 6.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Okay.
Win one against the Dodgers, so you win the season series, and you have that tiebreaker.
Which is important.
And then win 3 out of 4 versus Arizona, and I will feel, first of all, I am perfectly fine. I am not panicked. I am not otherwise about where this Phillies team sits right now, despite how pissed off I am at the way things have been the last.
Because it has not been great.
It's been bad.
Also, we haven't seen them win a series. If they lose the series to the Dodgers, it will be 7 straight series that they've lost.
Yes.
If they split with the Diamondbacks, that is a step in the right direction. I know I just told you I need to see 3 out of 4, but we can't get mad at them progressing.
Yeah, and then I just changed the terminology. They haven't won a series in 8 straight series.
And I will tell you this.
Well, it's closer.
I went into it saying if they split these next 2 games and then go win 3 out of 4 in Arizona, I'm like, make me a Tanqueray and tonic. I'm fine.
500 West Coast road trip, that would be.
Sunday night, I'd be like, cheers. Everything's fine. Stop freaking worrying about it.
500 West Coast road trip.
That'd be great. No, that would be great.
I don't want you guys thinking I don't think they're going to win the division.
No, I got you.
I don't think because they played good baseball yesterday and they played good baseball in the final game of the series against the Mariners that they're out of it. I need to see them actually put together wins before I say they're out of their rut.
By the way, the Braves open up a 3-game series versus the Brewers.
Right.
Brewers have now pulled within 3.5. Braves are 5.5 back of the Phillies. But then the Braves go on their 10-game road trip. It's not as hard at the Rockies, 4 at the Giants, which is always trouble, and 3 at the Angels. I mean, they've got a 10-game road trip coming up starting Thursday.
Look, the Braves had every opportunity to make this gap even closer.
And
it's
they did.
Still 5.5 games. The
Exactly.
Phillies have been horrible, and it's still 5.5 games. Just to put it in perspective, Corey Seidman yesterday in a story after the Phillies lost, well, basically this morning when the Phillies lost, he writes up in NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, the Phillies still haven't won 2 straight games since July 10th and 11th, which of course was the series against the Dodgers, and will need to do so to avoid their 7th straight series loss. It took them 93 games to lose their 7th series of the season. But a loss Tuesday night would make it 7 more in the span of just 20 games.
Not fun.
That's when you put it in wording like that. It took 93 games to lose 7 series. You've lost 7 in the last 20 games.
Yep.
7 series in the last 20 games.
And I will tell you again that the Phillies in 2022, when they went to the World Series, if you broke the season down into thirds, 54-game blocks, they had 1 winning record. They had 1.
There's the middle,
the
middle part, right?
And the middle part.
Yeah.
They had 1 winning block where they had a winning record in a third of the season. So that is all I would say to you. Please, you can be up 2 games to 1 in the World Series, having 1 winning bracket. This team's going to do better than that.
Right, and I agree with you. I'm not panicked. I just need to see them get out of it.
Got something else for you guys on the Phillies that I took a look at this morning.
What's up?
Because I had a feeling with where they're at in the schedule, it's got to get easier, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked up their remaining strength of schedule. It's 18th hardest in baseball. It's sub 400. The 498 winning percentage is the combined winning percentage of teams they played. After they finish this series with the Dodgers, they will have exactly 3 games remaining against any team in first place in any division in baseball. And it'll be 3 against the Brewers. Their schedule does get easier.
It does.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't want to just do the first place thing because you're playing the Braves.
There's a 4-game. The Braves. You have 7 with the Braves left. 7 with the Braves, 4 here, 3 there.
Yeah.
You've got the Braves have second to the last week of the year, 4 with the Dodgers at Atlanta, but the Dodgers for 4 a Thursday through a Sunday.
Right.
The Phillies will have checked that box off and have moved on from the toughest team in the
right.
Like, let's remember, you say you don't want to do first place. They just rolled through like Twins, Guardians, Yankees.
No, I know,
Dodgers,
but I'm saying like these second place teams aren't bad. So
I know they're not bad,
here's a stretch.
but it's a step.
Here's a difficult stretch. So after the Diamondbacks, you have the Marlins and the Nationals, which could be just a breath of fresh air.
Hopefully you win. Hopefully
right?
you can just count on 4 out of 6, maybe 5. But hopefully you can count on guaranteed 4 out of 6.
Right. But then after that, it's 3 in Atlanta, which is no cupcake, right?
They don't usually play poorly there.
No, but I'm just saying it's like I'm not going to go.
It's a tough series.
The schedule,
give me one.
Lightens
just
up.
give me one. Give me one of those games.
3 in KC. They're a third-place team, but in a good division,
They're
and
not
they
bad.
have played very well this year. 3 at home against Houston.
Astros are a 500 team.
They're still
what are they?
Still the
I
Houston
understand.
Astros, man.
I know, but they're still 5. They're 57 and 55, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, that division, nobody's really ran away with it. The Rangers are 5 games under 500. They're just 5 games back. And then after that Astros series, it's 4 at home against the Braves.
And that is Labor Day weekend. The Sunday night of Labor Day weekend, you're done with that.
So 7 against the Braves, 3 against the Royals, 3 against the Astros. That's still a tough stretch.
Well, no, it's not like they're playing their earlier schedule, but I'm saying you're not going to be playing division-leading 65-win baseball teams for the rest of the way.
Correct.
They're naturally going to get better.
But I would say still dangerous teams.
Remember when I did the 500 thing with you?
Yes.
If they go 500 the rest of the way now, they win 91.
That's been going down more and more.
I don't like that.
It went from 104 to 91. So
Yeah.
just so now that can change quickly too.
It could.
You know,
It could
so in a
change
matter of
quickly.
weeks. My bold statement of the morning, and count me on it anytime you wish. Labor Day, you will wake up and you will be like, got the division. Now we just got to worry about seeding.
Okay.
Labor Day, you will wake up. The Braves series will be over. Your season series with the Braves will be over. And as a Phillies fan, you will say, okay, I'm comfortable going into September. Division's going to be ours. Now let's talk about what we need to do for
Is that a
seeding versus the
Kincade
Dodgers.
guarantee?
It is.
I don't know.
In fact, double down.
Oh.
Double down. I said it the other night. The guy says to me, "Oh, I noticed you're not mentioning the magic number anymore." 46. Double down.
Say it with your chest, Johnny.
46.
All right.
It is.
Interesting.
I like it. I hope you're
46.
correct. And I believe it because I still believe that this Phillies team is good. They just got to win a couple freaking baseball
I got you.
games
I
in
get
a row.
you. Everyone will
stretch some together.
Everyone will find a way to get back to breathing.
All right, we're awaiting Kellen Moore's press conference as he will be speaking to the media soon at training camp at NovaCare. Give us a text message, Connor, from our audience today. You can text in. You can call in 610-632-0975.
All right, we have another check-in here as far as the Nick Sirianni situation. Anthony from St. Pete says, Nick knows his deficiencies over the last 3 years. He will embrace the new coordinators and be able to be the CEO of the team. This team, including Jalen, seem to have a new lease on life. I think all will come to fruition by week 5.
He speaks in too many absolutes. And I'm just going to guess that he has no idea of what goes on behind closed doors at NovaCare. Not that we necessarily do either.
Right.
But that's too absolute for me. I love the positivity, and I tend to lean towards believing that's what's going to happen, but that's way too absolute. Oh, everything's going to be great.
Doesn't mean I disagree with him.
No, I think that is going to be, that's his, I believe that's the intention, and I believe that's what Anthony wants to happen. Too absolute that it's all going to work that way.
And I don't know, I think it will happen. You got to, if you lose the Packers game, you got to run through that NFC South. You have to.
You do.
If you don't run through the NFC South,
and
which
you come out 2-2, then you're like,
Then there's a lot of questioning, and then we start looking at Nick Sirianni, and then it's, we're doing the same thing with Rob Thompson right now. Like, people are worried that the playoffs are going to go poorly because Rob Thompson is the manager, and this team's too talented to have a bad manager at the helm. And it's going to be the same thing with Nick Sirianni.
And Rob Thompson is the meme of whatever it is of Leslie Nielsen with the burning buildings behind him saying, nothing to see here. Everything's fine.
Well, you're basically
every
saying
day.
It too.
But it's just, no. I still will address the things that they're not good at.
Right.
I will believe it. He won't address what they're not good at. It's always, hey, it's just baseball.
Well,
I heard it yesterday. By the way,
he does say in the press conference, we don't know what he's saying behind closed doors.
This cataclysmic fall that the Phillies are having right now is not just baseball, and every team does not do it. Every team does not go 3-14.
Except the Chicago White Sox.
Exactly. The Phillies have the second worst record in baseball next to the Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Since the All-Star break.
Well, thank God for the White Sox.
But that doesn't happen. And people are making it out like this happens to every team every year. No, it doesn't.
So
they haven't lost this many series in a row. If they lose one more Dodger game, they haven't lost this many series in a row since 2016.
Here's Kellen Moore.
Yeah, you got a really good foundation at this point. Obviously, transitioning into preseason football here very soon. It kind of shifts gears into preseason focus. You get joint practices coming up, and so we got a lot of the core in now, and now it's just the adjustments within that. We've taken our first lap through it from training camp perspective, and now we make all the adjustments, whether it be scheme, personnel, all the fun stuff. We just keep building on it.
How much do you want under center to be a part of this offense? And when you have a formation that you might not use a lot, how do you make sure it's not predictable?
There's an aspect of that. Obviously, we want to have diversity in our presentations, and so that's something that certainly we're evaluating and presenting ourselves, and we'll just see where it takes us as we continue to evolve and build this thing throughout training camp. I mean, where we are now is certainly not where we're going to end up here in the next few weeks. We still got a number of weeks to kind of continue to build and evolve, and so that's the exciting part of this.
Looks like the key has been getting a decent amount of second team reps lately. What's behind that?
Yeah, Tanner's doing an awesome job. Kenny's doing an awesome job. Really has two complete, independent things. It's not necessarily they're associated with each other. I think both those guys are having really good camps. Sometimes when you're a younger guy, sometimes we just like to put you in some different situations where you're with different guys on the field, whether it be with a second group or a first group, all those different things. You try and mix and match these things just to give yourself different perspective for these guys. And so Kenny's handled it awesome. Tanner's handled it awesome. It's been really good for these guys.
You guys made an addition to Nick Gates. How do you all feel about the depth along the interior, especially at center?
Yeah, obviously you're always looking to keep the depth down, particularly interior, because those are really, center is a very specific task. And so obviously having a guy of his experience, being able to play a bunch of football, a chance to bring him in, I think is a huge asset for us to just continue to, provide the depth there.
What have you learned about Jalen just through the first couple weeks of camp?
Yeah, Jalen's he's been phenomenal. He's done an awesome job just continuing to build and evolve with this thing as we go. And so, I think the communication has been critical. It's been awesome. His with the players, from player to player, but also just our collaboration as we continue to build this thing, getting good feedback on things we like, things we want to adjust, and continue to keep building that. And it's been a really fun task.
Penny and Tanner, what would you like to see from them in the preseason game?
Yeah, preseason games I think are all about operation. Smooth operation, making clean decisions, just moving the football. Circumstances sometimes change within preseason games. Understand those things, but just a clean operation and make great decisions. And what they've been doing out here is all we need. Come Friday.
You have receivers like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith will get a lot of targets this season. Does that affect how you would normally number how many you carry in receivers?
As far as game operation?
How many you carry on a game day?
Yeah, that's really there's a lot of aspects associated with that. Obviously, being an offense guy, we'd love to have 10 receivers if we can, but obviously there's other positions. Special teams plays a big key part in this. Where can those depth guys provide other roles for this team, whether it be special teams or somewhere else? And so we'll certainly have those guys, and we'll have to rotate. It'll be a collective group behind those two, and we'll utilize all those guys.
Stephen said the other day that he has looked at a lot of Cole Beasley as he got ready for the season. Do you see that at all?
Yeah, certainly. Cole was an awesome player, obviously in Dallas. I played with him, and then when I transitioned to coaching, he was still playing there. And so Britt's done an awesome job. He's done a phenomenal job. He's taken advantage of opportunities, and like a number of these receivers, we're really excited about the depth that we have there. These guys have done a nice job of hopping in there, taking advantage of situations, and it's going to be a collective group, and we'll utilize all these guys. It's a long season. You need them all.
Where do you stand in regards to giving Jalen more or less in terms of freedom at the line to change plays?
Yeah, I think obviously it's a collective effort as we continue to build this thing and evolve. You want to utilize as many tools as you can while keeping them clean and clear for the entire offense. And sometimes it's not necessarily about Jalen, but it's making sure that all 11 are on the same page. And so he'll continue to have those tools. He's done an excellent job through camp of just utilizing different adjustments when he needs to, protections, routes, run game. He's doing a phenomenal job with this.
Are you still kind of in the evaluation process in terms of knowing what he can handle and what he can't handle, or do you think you have a pretty good handle on that?
He's doing an excellent job. He's really doing an excellent job with this. And again, when you get into game plan football, it evolves each and every week. Some weeks you need a lot, some weeks you don't need as much, and we can play ball, and it really depends on who you're playing against.
The lack of turnovers during training camp from Jalen in particular, what's that the product of?
Excellent decision, excellent preparation by Jalen. He's doing a great job with the football. He's still aggressive. He's still trying to get the ball downfield. He's trying to make plays. He's just making really, really good decisions, and he's doing a nice job. And really, the whole group as a unit. I think we've only had a couple, two maybe so far in camp. These guys are making really good decisions while still playing aggressive. They're not passive. They're not just taking check downs. They're getting the ball downfield, which is exciting.
Well, we talk about that collective at wide receiver, the group at wide receiver 3. For lack of a better term, you might have Britton in the slot, Johnny outside, maybe Ross's speed. Do you have to guard against, tendencies that this guy's on the field, we're going to do that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, certainly once you get to game plan football and you get into the regular season, you got to be really cautious of who's on the field and what those tendencies dictate. Sometimes you want to create tendencies for your own ability to trump them at later points, and so we'll continue to evolve and utilize all those different points. Whether it be who's on the field from tight ends, running backs, it's every single unit. We got to be really conscious of that just to protect our tendencies. And like I said, sometimes you want to have tendencies to break them in critical moments.
When you were in Dallas, how much when you were in Dallas when you were learning how to run an offense, how much were you taught by McCarthy, and how much were you kind of left to your own in terms of kind of figuring out how to do things?
Yeah, no, like any coach, we're continuing to evolve and grow, and you learn from each and every experience. Whoever you coach with, whoever I've played for, I've taken bits and pieces from all these different guys, and I've been fortunate to be around some really phenomenal mentors, different styles of football, and you kind of piece all those together and continue to evolve, and that's what we'll do out here as well as a group. We're continuing to evolve right now, and so that's the exciting part of this thing.
You've had mobile quarterbacks before, but probably not to the extent of Jalen. So as you build out the quarterback run game in the offense, what's your process there? Who do you lean on? How does that work?
Yeah, quarterback run game. Obviously, it's a phenomenal piece. Very prominent in college football. Certainly, there's aspects of it still in the NFL. It certainly gives you the extra numbers in the run game, but there's an awareness. NFL is long season, so we just got to be smart about it as we go. But we want to continue to utilize it as much as we can.
Now, you mentioned being pleased with the collaborative approach between Jalen and Cam in terms of handling pass protection at the line of scrimmage. What have you seen on that front throughout the camp?
Yeah, constant communication. I love all the different side conversation after a drive, those guys teaming up and just talking through, hey, I made this decision, what did you see? And it continues into the film room. And so these guys just continuing to talk, get on the same page. That's what this time is for. It's such a fun time to watch these guys continue to build this thing.
What surprised you about this offense and this whole process in training camp? Anything?
Surprises, I don't know if anything jumps out. I think, we just got a really smart, tough group. I think they do an excellent job of preparing the right way. Our guys can handle enough volume so we can be creative and utilize a number of different things. And so it's a veteran group. You can tell these guys understand ball. And so it's been exciting.
With Tyler seeing a young player who hasn't played right guard in the NFL for a brief stint, how much does the time that he missed affecting his ability to be the guy by the start of the season?
No one ever wants to be out this time of year, and those things are hard on every player. And so obviously everyone wants to do what they can to get back out there. We still have time. We still have time here, and so certainly we're excited about what the future will hold for him and give him more and more opportunities. And we'll just let this thing play out. Again, we're early August here, and we'll continue to let this thing go.
There's a track record of success here with the blocking concepts and the run game concepts from Jeff Stoutman. How is that? I don't know if it compares or contrasts to what you've done in the past, and how are you infusing that in your system?
Yeah, no, Stout's been awesome. Obviously, tons of great success for a long time here, and so stuff that we want to build off of. We want to be very conscious of making sure we build on all the good things that are going on here, and there's a ton of good, and continue to bring in different components and different adjustments, and that's not necessarily just my past, it's other coaches' past, it's other things that are coming across the league, and so we're constantly trying to evolve and find, okay, what's the next thing that we can build on.
Lane said he'd like to have some time to have kind of like the set offensive line, kind of have some time to work together. Do you have like a target date in mind that you'd like to have, or as you get close to the season for what you'd like to?
No target date right now. Obviously, anytime you can get those guys working together, obviously, like Lane said, that's a critical aspect, just the communication. Those guys got to be aligned, but we'll just let it play out, and we'll see when it hits us.
Are you and Vic competitive about the results of practice?
No, Vic's awesome. I think what's really good is he challenges you each and every day, and especially when we get into these situations where we get to call it, it's really good training for all of us. It's really, really good, and the feedback's really good after practice when we can kind of talk about things that happened, and so it's been a really good process.
Now, Friday's the first time that fans are going to get a chance to see your offense work. In your mind, when it's working right, what happens?
Just playing clean, efficient football. We have the ability to run and pass, and so we'll continue to build this thing. We'll see how we present this thing come Friday, and we'll just kind of take it day by day. But I'm excited with where we're at. I'm excited with where we're going, and continue to build this thing and evolve each and every week, each and every day. And so our guys have done a great job so far.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
All right, there's offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, and we all have the same reaction. Man, it's nice just to hear him talk and.
He doesn't stammer. He doesn't stutter. He has an answer immediately. He doesn't have to think about
too much.
Right. He doesn't. As I had a boss once say to me, John, I asked you what time it was, not how you made the watch.
Right.
Just get to it. Tell me what time it is.
And
there it is.
Just like Vic Fangio. I mean, those two guys are the same.
I got to tell you, Kellen, if you let me down, I'm going to look so stupid, but I am totally in. I am totally in. Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors, and make a donation today to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR. I'm living proof 3 times over. Cancer research saves lives.
All right, we're back at it tomorrow on a Shefty Wednesday on Kincade and Salciunas. So we'll talk to Adam Schefter. Hopefully we get to react to a Phillies victory. Boy, that would be nice. And
wouldn't that be good?
I'm going to have deodorant on tomorrow. I promise you that.
I appreciate you.
You gave a Kincade guarantee that the Phillies will have the division clearly run away with come Labor Day. I guarantee you that I will have deodorant on my pits tomorrow. Sound good?
I'm happy for that.
Congratulations, buddy. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Bill Colarulo coming your way next, hosting the midday show with
Who
Ray
asked
Dunn.
us if he smelled when we asked him the question?
I asked him. I was like, did your deodorant stick fall apart just like everybody else's did, apparently?
Why do I smell?
It's amazing. All right, make sure you guys listen to Bill and Ray coming your way next. We'll be back at it